We're almost there. We're live. Let's see. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Microphone. We got the microphone going. Let's see. Can we go? So both of them are still living? Oh, I love it. Okay. Check, check. Okay. Make sure that's off. All right, so welcome, everybody. We are now officially live from Silverton Pride. So far, so good. We're waiting for folks to arrive, and as soon as we have our first person, we'll be right back. So it'll probably be about another 5 minutes, so bear with us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be right with you.
Everything's working?
Everything's working. How about that?
We were just like this.
You don't even want to know how much money yesterday cost me. I couldn't do a simultaneous thing, so I had to get my cables and kinds of things because I thought I could do it on one laptop. But apparently, laptops freak out when you're trying to do simultaneous video.
They do.
Yeah. So luckily I had my second laptop, but then I was like, I needed. But we're officially live. Here's waters. There's extra chairs. Holly and Kelly should be here about noon.
You'll work Holly. I haven't met Kelly yet. So.
Oh, you'll work Kelly too.
But if she's anything like Holly, it's just Holly's a roots. I feel like I know them though. I feel like I've met Kelly. Oh.
He was upset I left him in the car.
Do we need to make sure he's okay? That he did eat it?
No,
You're like, love. Someone did this to me yesterday.
Oh no.
I had a professional groomer. She was turning a car. She had a tube turned her out of it. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, what? What is this? It's called Sullivan's Unheard. I'm just trying to look for so maybe we'll see by later. Thank you. The podcast.
I almost forgot to get
How's it going?
How are you?
Good. You interested in the podcast interview?
Podcast?
Yeah. Sullivan's Unheard.
I've never really done a podcast.
Oh, you're good. Have a seat. So the only thing to make sure is that you're about 6 inches away from the mic or less at all times.
About like this.
A little bit closer.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, don't you start, Finn.
All right.
You got him? Thank you. And your name?
Tyler.
Tyler. I'm Sean.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you. And we're here live at Silverton Pride. So is this your first time in the Silverton Pride?
Well, yeah, first time in Silverton Pride, but I've been to Silverton before. I actually live in Salem, and one of my coworkers was like, there's this thing, Silverton Pride, happening, and one of a coworker I used to float between locations.
Yeah.
And one of them was putting it on. I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know this. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to check it out. And already it's popping off.
So what do you like best about celebrating Pride?
It's a good opportunity for people to kind of feel seen. I think that's one of the biggest things is, there's not a lot of it out there. And, the society is like a bunch of, day to day kind of the gaps or fill in the gaps. And when you do, you just kind of, it's like, this tent, like everything looks complete, but you don't see any kind of uniqueness in each space, so it's kind of like where it's a space where every little part has its own color. It's kind of interesting, and I don't think a lot of spaces have that.
And one of the things and the reason I'm here actually is because creating a safe space where you can come have fun and know that you're not going to be judged is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love about Pride is if you're an ally, come support Pride.
Yeah.
If you're a part of the community, come support Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here needs this love and support because sometimes outside of this area, life can be kind of rough.
Yeah. I agree. It's tough. One of those things like, finding places where you fit in, and those can be kind of intimidating when you don't believe it at first. So and then believing it's the hardest part, but when you kind of have other kind of like, I guess, shoulders to lean on, then the belief kind of happens after. So it's a really nice like space to kind of cultivate that. Yeah. And how many Pride events have you gone to?
I've been to a bunch. I started going to them actually in Roseburg of all places. And Roseburg was a wake-up call for me. Do we want to get him out of there? Yeah, it should be just to the right. Should have left him at home.
He's really excited.
Yeah.
He's excited to be here.
But so I started going to Pride in Roseburg because a friend invited me, and that was also the first time I ever encountered a protest at Pride.
Oh wow!
And that's really what struck with me, because it was like up until then, I had no idea. Like, I thought I knew, but I had no idea. And I was like, the more I inquired, like, well, what is this about? Why? And it's like, it's such a stupid thing for people to protest. It's so dumb.
Yeah, of all the things that they could protest,
Like,
that's one of the things.
People.
I know exactly. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, it's there's so many kind of issues. One of my things is, there's all kinds of issues when I'm thinking like, protesting this, protesting that. I don't like saying I like judge protest. Oops, excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
I don't judge protest, but one of the things I think about when something is being protested is, okay, so if the event being protested is like, for instance, Pride, everyone's here for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's here for themselves, and then other people are protesting that. And then it kind of speaks a little bit of volumes for like, if you are protesting something where someone's trying to be themselves, that's interesting to me. Where, for instance, another kind of a protest would be something like a government protest where, the
That's
government,
different.
right? It is different.
Yeah.
Where it's like some other, it's an institution kind of acting on others. The protest there is, okay, well, you're acting on me. Let me tell you how I want it to be, right? And then so if you have a protest where, people are trying to be themselves, and they're protesting other people wanting to be themselves, it's very interesting. It's like, well, we're directing that in a different, there's no. We're directing it somewhere it shouldn't go. It should be when there's a power onto something. This is the thing we protest, not this down here.
Yeah, and I never did quite understand why people have a problem with people wanting to just be themselves.
Right.
As somebody who's on the autism spectrum,
Sure.
I know how much of a struggle it is to be your authentic self without judgment. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't we just start from there? Why can't we start with saying, you get to be your beautiful, authentic self in whatever form or whatever you want to be?
Right.
And just accept you as a human. I don't understand what the deal is.
I'm sure it's intimidating. Once it kind of brings me back to Matrix. That movie. Well, the trilogy was amazing. I haven't seen the newer one yet, but when you kind of have that unplugged moment, you're kind of disrupting something, and I think the disruption can be uncomfortable, which is understandable. But at the same time, it's like, it's not a disruption. The disruption is external. Right. So what is the, in the Matrix, right? What is the disruption? It's like Agent Smith. It's like part of the system. It's an agent of the system. So that is what judges whether something is a disruption, whether it's uncomfortable or not the individual. So it's interesting to me, like when I'm thinking, oh, something can be like, you can be yourself, whatever. You can be like a color and the color and the monotony of something like this. So you can see it as weird. Like, it's not out of place. It's like, that's for me is like, it's not a disruption in a sort of like bad sense, like we need to get rid of it, but it's a disruption in sort of like, kind of, where else can I find this? Like, does this exist? Like, for instance, like it's a native species, like a flower or something somewhere. It's like, is this the only place where it is? Can we find it other places? Like, what is it? Kind of inviting curiosity in the face of disruption, as opposed to keep it, right? So, like, it's extinguishment in that phase. So,
and life is so much easier if you're kind and you come with curiosity. It actually takes a lot more work to be mean, and that's the part that just totally confuses me.
I really relate to that. I was like, why are you mean? I work with customers, right?
Yeah.
So I work in banking. One of the things that is real to me is, okay, when something doesn't go your way, or something, like there's something that I say that I don't have any control over. So like, I'm enforcing a policy or something like this, like, there's something I can't skirt around. This happened actually yesterday. It's like, there's a choice when you're choosing to be mean. There's a choice when you're responding a certain way, and when you're trying to respond in a way that kind of doesn't seem to show compassion. That's a choice, and I don't know how hard it is to make that choice. I have never really, I find it hard because I'm just generally not that kind of person, I find it easier to show the compassion. I don't know how hard it is to start showing compassion. Like, is it something that, you know, you're expresses like a kind of vulnerability, a soft side, you know? I don't know. I don't know what it is, why it seems to be a harder thing one way or the other. I don't, you know, maybe it's the way you're brought up, or, you know, your background. I don't, you know, it's a very interesting question.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And then, like, so one of the things that I also appreciate about Pride, and an event like this, is all of the vendors and the booths and stuff like that. And it's
all of the cool stuff.
Yeah, and I just, like, I can't stress it enough for people to come down and support the local vendors.
Right.
Like, it's so important.
Yeah. And yeah, the local part, I think, is the key thing right there. Is like, everybody here is part of a community, and the fact that I don't know if, you know, I guess it's a stretch to assume that, you know, everyone here is from the Silverton area, but certainly I'm 30 minutes away, so I'm you know, a certain kind of local, but like, to know that there exists this kind of solidarity in a local space, that's strong, that's powerful.
Yeah, and they have over 50 booths this year too.
50.
So like,
oh dear. 50 is already a big number. Over 50.
Yeah.
I thought I overheard someone saying something like 70 venues. I don't know what they were, if they meant.
I don't know the actual number. I just know that it's over 50, and I'm gonna go with that.
Okay.
I want to be safe, and I don't want to be called a liar.
Sure, sounds good. Maybe that other person's lying. It's
I would go with that other person.
Yeah. We'll say 50 venues. Yeah, it does look pretty, like a big enough event, and there's a lot to do, it looks like. And I saw the schedule, and there's some things all day. Yeah.
And so, like, why come to Pride yourself?
Sure. I decided to come because I didn't have any other plans for the Saturday morning. I do have plans later in the day, but I figured I would, you know, kind of step out of my bubble. You know, Salem's kind of my bubble, and I've been there for too long. And fair. So I guess just to Pride, you know, why Pride specifically? Well, you know, I've kind of it's interesting. It's like I've never really felt kind of repressed in that kind of way. You know, I'm wearing by Pride colors, kind of under an overshirt, because it's not, I don't find it to be like something, I mean, it is part of my identity, of course. It's like, you know, something of me, right? But do I, you know, I don't really like find it to be something I would like tell everybody in the first 10 minutes of me meeting them or something like this. It seems, I don't know, it's like you kind of show up just to kind of connect with others, I think. And so it's one of those spaces where it's like it's an how do you say this, like, it's something you can connect on, bond over, kind of the whole like that some people have been repressed in certain ways, that you have different experiences that I, you know, certain, you know, for me, I haven't quite been as, you know, like
you haven't had to go through
bullied or anything, like exactly. But you know, and then those are kind of enlightening in themselves, and so those can add value. They can kind of strengthen any, like, you know, empathetic connections I like to, you know, have with folks, and kind of it adds to the human experience. It's interesting. It's sad that, you know, that's a way that I can add to the human experience. You know, people have been brought up in worse environments than me, but, you know, kind of opening myself up to that part of the world is a little strong, is powerful.
And I appreciate that you said that too, because it's one of the things, like with me and with disabilities, right?
Sure.
I always say that you are not defined by your disability.
Yeah.
It's part of you as a human being, but you're a human first, and that's just part of your identity.
Exactly.
And just to be individualistic and be your authentic self is just a blessing if you can be that way.
Exactly. Like, you have, like, you know, it's the whole, it kind of brings back that don't judge a book by its cover, because there's like hundreds of pages in it, right? Like, each page adds something to the story, right? So it's like, you know, you don't like the cover of the book, open the first page, right? Something, do you know, get to know it, and then, you know, like, it's interesting that, you know, in such an interconnected world, you know, you have Instagram, you have like Facebook, you have all these social media apps where you have I also have like a background in data science, so you have metrics and performance indicators and things that people care about, and little do they think about the fact that there's more to it than the metric. So there's something that adds to the metric, and what adds to the metric? A person, right? So, people who choose to show up to work every day, people who choose to come into, a branch at a bank or something, the way they leave, and how likely it is that they're wanting to go for a certain product that, adds referrals or something like this. There's more to it than the fact, oh, you ended the day today with fewer referrals than I was expecting you to make, or something like this. It's like, how many connections did I have with everybody that day? Like, how many impressions did I leave on everybody that day? Or how many people did I listen to every day? The number of people I smiled for, the people I greeted, the people I felt that I made feel welcome, So it's like, there's layers, and I feel like it's lazy of folks to kind of, you kind of have that like onion effect where it's like you just strip away the layers, and you have the ones that you want to see, the outer layer of the onion, that's all you want to see. But it's a little bit of work to dig into the onion, but it's like, at the same time, like, there's a whole onion there. Like, you're missing out. Whole book to read there.
And when you miss out on that, I always like to say too, like, not even identical twins have the same story in life. So like, don't judge anyone until you get to know them.
Yeah.
Because you're missing out.
Right.
So many wonderful conversations that you can have with people if you just be open to having conversations.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe that's why it's a little tough, is because having the conversations, implies that, it's going to be two-sided.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the things that you have to, in order to have a strong conversation, you have to kind of surrender the one-sidedness. So something like, you have to kind of open yourself up to be a listener, which is, something a lot of people might not feel interested in doing, to no fault of their own. You're living in a society where, the people who speak are the people who are listened to, and being listened to, and being recognized is a sort of merit on its own, but also so is the you have to be listened to as well to speak, to say anything of value. So it's like, hearing people talk, and when I'm interacting with people in the branch and they have stories for me, I mean, I'm not going to remember every story, but in the moment I'm engaged with the whole narrative, the whole thing that they're trying to tell me. I'm engaged with it, and they feel heard, they leave, and then all of a sudden they come in, they're talking again to me, and again I feel they feel listened to. I come away with a new story about that person, something new, something, even one thing I can remember about them, like, oh, this is something you do in your free time, or it seems to be a passion of yours. Tell me again about it when I come back and see you again, or something like this. It's like, I don't know, surrendering that control, I think, is the hardest part for a lot of folks, and I think that's why it can be hard to be open to different perspectives, is because you kind of have to let go of some control in the conversations and whatever.
Yeah, and people tell me I'm strange in a way because I'm not tied to my belief system. Like, I am very firm in my beliefs, except for when new information presents itself and I have to shift. You have to be open to that.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Because like, life's too short,
Yeah.
That's the way I think of it anyway.
Yeah, it is too short, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's imagine we have like 100 years to live, right? So it's like, imagine living the same way for 100 years. To me, is a little like, have a little fun. Let something change. Let something change. That's what I think.
Get out there and enjoy the world while you can.
And today, right?
Yeah.
This is an instance where, it's going to happen. It's probably once a year or something. I'm in my room by this time on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Let something change.
Yeah.
Come to Pride.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad you came.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is very fun podcasting. I'm glad you're holding this.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you so much. Yeah.
Sean, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Enjoy the event, please.
All right. Have a good one.
All
All righty.
We'll get you out. And you know, give him a card. Because it'll be on YouTube.
Oh boy.
In a couple of days.
Alrighty, sounds good. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Sal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You too. You peed on the bag, buddy. Well, they had a pride event already. It's just pride. I think I'm gonna invest in that. Have a lovely day.
I wanted the other one that says your mom's was 4 years and I was like,
Absolutely. You guys stand right. All righty.
Try and make sure the microphone.
All right. This is great. All right.
And your name, sir?
Christopher Wilson.
Christopher Wilson. I'm Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
We're live at Silverton Pride with Sullivan's Unheard Voices, and we're talking to people that are here, trying to get an idea of why they're here and why it's important to support events like this. And what brought you to Pride today?
I've been living in Silverton for 3 years in total, coming back from the Midwest. My son is moved here just from Salem. Trans individual, trans man, love him so much, and he faced so much hate, so much terror. And he told me the other day, he said, I didn't think I'd be here. I thought I was going to kill myself before I got to this point. And I was like,
heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're right here. And now he's moved here. He's in an place. It's safe for him. It's a safe place. So I'm here to further represent and be a representative of not only an ally, but a person of color that can look like other and different people. So Silverton can understand that different people have different beliefs, but also want to align.
That's a beautiful thing. Like I'm kind of in tears because it's like I have so many friends that have to endure so much hate in life, and every time I hear from somebody like I'm finally in an inclusive place, it's such a beautiful thing because it's hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, and it's that little bit of love.
Yeah. And Oregon is just one of those beautiful places that's more accepting than any other place I've been to. And so like with your son here now and in the community, like what's been the difference?
The biggest difference, I think, is just him being free, walking around downtown, seeing and being accepted in different places. I mean, he comes to open mic with me at Max or at High Water Grill. I sing and he's there, or he's listening to my stupid stories, or the other friends that I have that play at the different open mic and live music venues. And so it's just the inclusion of art, of thought, and of difference is what makes Silverton different.
Yeah.
And so, and honestly, even going back to Stu, like, you know, where he's a very a fiscal conservative person, but this person that was himself.
Yeah.
And
allowed to be himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it made the community realize, hey, maybe we need more of this.
Yeah. And so you say you sing as well? Are you in like a band or?
No, I'm not in a band at all. I work for the state of Oregon, and I do math for a living a little bit, but I love to sing and learn and fail forward. But I love to hear other local music. What's great about this place is there's so many interesting minds. You know, I always try to think what I say is like the whole town is full of neurodivergent individuals. But what the truth is, like, if you took away that guitar, all that finger twitching would be a little bit autistic kid sitting in the corner. So that's all I'm saying is all you got to do is take away the instrument and then you'll see what I'm talking about.
I totally get that. And I'm autistic myself too. And I totally get what you're saying. Like there's a fine line between anyway. Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things that I ask people also that come to Pride is about why is it important to you to support local?
I think that if we are to retain the culture that built Silverton, we have to support the local community, both local businesses, but also the local community, the people that live here. There has to be some reciprocity between both. The businesses have to support and figure out how to support the people that live here too, and vice versa. And so I think that that's what really Silverton is doing right now, trying to figure out itself in the cross support, and especially like the second or third generation of folks that may be moving away from here because they can't afford to live here anymore. You know, they're growing up here and they're the kids that want to keep what we're talking about right now, but they may not be able to afford to live here. And once they go, it's hard to bring them back, and especially as affordability changes.
Do you think there's anything we can do to help with sort of that affordability piece? Because it's one of those things where I wrap my head around. It's like, how can we do that? Because I, like you, have seen so many people that I love have to move away because they can't afford to stay.
I think that if the city council, as they do their programming for the 2050 kind of master planning process, that's where if the town was kind of tiered in a slow growth model. That's the only way that I've seen this happen in a couple other cities and some other municipalities, one in Illinois and another one in Arizona. But what they did is they basically kind of zoned the city for slow growth to make sure that there was a tiered affordability. And so that as it kind of grew with inflation, and that you could move up based on where you were in your kind of life, your income level and stuff like that. So you could go, like right now, we don't have like a bunch of 2-bedroom homes or condos to live in or buy.
Okay. And I appreciate you saying that, because now I sort of thinking it back, like when in the 1990s, early 2000s in Seattle, when we bought that first house, it was a 2-bedroom bungalow that was very small. Like, was it optimal? No, but it was what we could afford. And as soon as you have that 2-bedroom parcel, it opens yourself up for so much financial just availability. Right? Because you're almost punished in this country if you don't own a home. Like financially, it's like, oh, if you don't own a home, you can't get this loan, you can't get that loan, you can't get this credit, you can't get that credit. But then if you can't afford to buy a house, you can't afford. It's this
the vicious cycle. Yep.
Yeah,
that's what it is, and there has to be emphasis on ownership, because so what I do for the state is like I focus on that, but also like the wealth of the individual depends on ownership. You have to own something, whether that's property or stock, but you must own something, because wealth will outperform work over time by percentage rate.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
Correct.
Because we don't teach financial literacy. We don't teach any of that stuff in our schools.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we could build to. I think that's something the community is ready to do also, is to look at, what could be better for some of the educational structures here, because I think that's what the community is trying to retain. Some of everything we talked about, whether it's financial literacy, the way that we approach the town, and then also just for everyone, I've seen so many entrepreneurs too, and they have their own like little skill set or craft, and so stuff like that.
And it's so important to support the small entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
and the people that are starting out. Like Walmart doesn't need our money.
Right.
It's the business down on Main Street.
Yeah.
That is owned by one or two people. Those are the people we need to support more than anything else.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And because it's like vital to keep the culture in the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have so many great things here. I just want to mention Books in Time, favorite bookstore, love Carol, all those things. She's great, and she's been part of this community so long, and she has this really cool kind of display in her store right now. It has, I don't know if you've seen it, but she has the LED lights behind like this 1910 kind of diver's bell kind of like mask, like an old school looking thing. So awesome. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea kind of looking thing. So yeah, just something to check. That just highlights this town of like, I go in there for intellectual curiosity, then I get these stories of her son having this, being a Navy diver and all this stuff. And so I think that's the kind of thing we want to retain, that kind of place.
Also, like, have you been there? I've Got Rocks in My Head.
Oh yeah.
I love that place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Those women that run that business are just something else.
Oh yeah. I think we're auctioning off some of the art here today.
Oh, that's awesome.
From I Got Rocks in My Head. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she's a character.
Oh yeah. I think I gave one of my coworkers, one of my employees, I bought like a little print, and it was called Heartbreak Robot.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing, and I just like, here you are. It was just beautiful. So anyway,
I have a friend that collects teeth of and so I bought her one of the fossilized tooth from I've Got Rocks in My Head.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that.
I was like, I don't know how you collect teeth or whatever.
Hey,
I love you anyway.
Well, all right. This has been fun. I really appreciate this.
Same.
Yeah.
So like, what's next for you? Because you're volunteering at the events. Like, we've got like live music and stuff like that coming on, right?
Yeah, just keep volunteering and keep participating in the community, and that's what I do. I mean, if I have a Saturday free, I'm going to volunteer, and if it's something for the community, I will.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Good to meet you.
Likewise.
All right. See you later.
And you're good.
All right. Thank you. Don't die. Okay.
Mm-hmm. See who we got next, y'all.
Probably will be 12:30 for her, just because she'll speak after there on the stage, and then I was like, it'd be perfect for you to come in and enjoy. You all keep sending more and more people. You
got it. I've already had 2 great ones. Awesome. Yeah.
She's also really smart too. She's my boss, but she's also in the occupational therapy and knows a lot of things. And it's really, really
I
cool.
know all the things. I don't know how to calm him down yet, so I have not worked that out. But I'm working on it. Ask me questions. I don't know what to say. A little all over the place.
Take a load off for a minute. What's that?
She asked if she could record me doing it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're actually live on YouTube and Facebook right now.
Oh. I bet it'll be safe. I don't think anyone's trying to run away with our. They're supposed to.
And we can see it right from here too.
Yeah,
So if anybody comes, I'll be like, hey.
Come back here with my stuff. Oh wait, it's giveaways. You can have all of it.
I love it.
I forgot. Yes. I don't know if she should be the one recording, but it's all right. We'll work it out.
And your name?
Jess.
Jess.
Yeah.
Sean.
Nice to meet you.
So we're live at Silverton Pride. Jess, thank you very much for talking with me today.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I talk to people about today in particular is why it's important to come and support an event like this.
Well, I'm here representing the WU OTD program, which is an occupational therapy program.
Yeah.
And we are basically inclusive of all people and all different things, all different occupations, anything you're trying to get back to doing, whatever makes you happy. So I believe that fits right along with the Pride Festival here.
And I appreciate that so much because, like, as somebody from the autism spectrum, one of the things that I recommend anybody who finds out they're autistic even later in life, the first stop should be an occupational therapist.
Yeah. Well, and it's great when people can get into it early.
Yeah.
And so the more people are aware of it, because a lot of people don't know what occupational therapy is.
And I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people may not know, because you hear occupational therapy and like, what is that?
Everybody asks us, well, you get people jobs, right? I said,
Like,
no. I mean, yes, you can get a job. Also, I'll help you do that. But but it's really whatever you love to do. We get you back to doing whatever you love to do.
And it's more like physical therapy from an occupational lens, kind of, or
yeah. Well, we work with PTs and speech therapists.
Okay.
So it's kind of the three of us: occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. And our point is to get people back to doing what they need to do. PTs are all about the physical, the strengthening, muscle strength, and that kind of thing. We're about what you want to do, what makes your life better, and what makes it your life, actually. So.
And what are your clientele sort of like runs the gamut, right?
Oh yeah, we can work with kids that are in IDD, which is like intellectual or developmental disabilities, kids on the spectrum. We also can help people in the gerontology sector of things. So if you're an older person and had a stroke or maybe had a heart attack and you need to get back to life after all of those things, we're the people that help you get there.
And because the piece that I also want to acknowledge is how important that integral approach is to getting it back in there, because it's a lot of work to recover from something like that. And sometimes you need that sort of collectivist approach to get you back to where you were before.
I think people underestimate how many factors there are when you have something like that happen. I mean, even your mental health is affected seriously. So if you can't even go paint or do the thing you love to do, and you also are in pain, and there's a lot of pieces to it that make people feel better when you get out of there. So.
And I appreciate that so much. So one of the things that the journeys that I've been on in the last couple of weeks was trying to get somebody who was blind on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
And that was a challenge because while all of the software said they were accessible, they're not really accessible.
No, there's so many things that
are
aren't.
for people who have limited vision.
Yeah.
If you have no vision, it's not really accessible.
It's amazing all the holes there are
Yeah.
in things. I never realized until I started getting into this how many spaces need need assistance. Like one of the things I'm more interested in people with intellectual and developmental disabilities as far as my that's okay, sorry. But my kind of focus that I want to get into when I get out of school completely is helping when people they age out of the system and they just sort of go, all right, well, good luck to you now. You're an adult, so I guess all of the things that you needed help with before aren't necessary anymore.
Yeah, it's like, no, you don't have autism anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're an adult now, so you're good. You're good? All right, that's fine. Yeah, so that's something that I really want to focus on, is trying to figure out how we bridge that gap, because it shouldn't be just a drop off like it is. It's a huge hole in the system.
Yeah. And I appreciate also your talk about being inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have learned, especially in the last few weeks or months, was about the health disparity of people in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And just how difficult it can be to find an inclusive place that will actually listen to the needs of people.
Well, you don't realize it too when you're not somebody in that community.
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't realize what a hole there is or how much bias there is. You know, you could go to a doctor who doesn't want to see you now because of that. I went to a hairstylist and she gently started to talk about her partner and then noticed my rainbow keychain for Woo.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, I mean, my wife. And she said, I've lost clients for saying that, which is just
wild to me.
Terrible. And people she'd been helping forever, but she had never talked about her wife before. And then when she did, they were like, oh, well, good luck to you. I can't come here anymore, which is just ridiculous. I can't comprehend.
I completely agree. Like, I had a friend have to move in with me for a couple of years because we lived in a very rural community, and her wife could not find housing. Like, she would show up and the housing would be available, everything's fine, and then they try to sign together and all of a sudden the house is not available.
It's so sad.
They had to move in with us for like 2 years because they couldn't find a place until they finally got to Portland where it was more
a little more, you know. And I think that's also with the occupational therapy. I think that's why it's important for us to be here, because differently abled people and people from the LGBTQ community kind of have some similar issues with, you know, how people accept them in the world and what they do for them. And
100%.
You know, that bias is not cool.
And then when you factor in like intersectionality, like I know, for example, because of the way I look, I can walk down Main Street and flap and do all the stimming, and I don't have to worry about getting shot.
Yeah.
Whereas my friend who's black and is autistic, his mom had to teach him not to stim in public.
That's terrible.
You know, so you're basically handicapping somebody.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to have to suffer like anything negative in the community.
I know, but then they just have to suffer silently and push it all down, which is not right. Yeah. I mean, I know public ridicule is terrible, but suffering and not being able to be yourself wherever you are has got to be the worst thing in the world. So.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to be my authentic self until like fairly recently too. So it's different when you actually have the ability and permission to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, some people don't.
Yeah.
And anything we can do to make somebody have a space where they can be their authentic self, like I'm all about it.
No, it's very important. That's why Woo Safe Space is one of the things that is sponsoring our tent too. Well, they're not sponsoring, but we have Woo Safe Space. We have stickers and things for that.
What's Woo Safe Space?
It's actually for LGBTQ students.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like I kind of like PFLAG is, you know, sort of that. It's like a community for them if they need help, if they need some support, if whatever, that kind of thing. So it's a program that Woo does.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about it, but that's basically the gist of it. So.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then one of the things I talk about ad nauseum on this podcast too is the importance of supporting local. And supporting companies like yours that are just a local branch. Like the national chains, they're not the ones that need the money. It's the local people who are local business owners that we should be supporting more than anything else. Yeah, the colleges and that kind of thing. I mean, it's supporting everybody should be the priority for everyone. I don't understand how it's taken us so long. I work at a retirement community and also in some IDD housing for people with intellectual disabilities. And it's very sad to me, the older population, how
forced into not, being conformist, and they can't do any of the things they want. Most of them aren't out because they just have lived their entire life as a straight male. We have a few people at our retirement community that just still don't feel like they can be themselves. 80 years old and you still feel like you're not allowed to be yourself. So I'm very happy that I feel like our world is kind of, well, parts of our world, but is kind of finally becoming a safe place everywhere, not just.
And I'm starting to see it more and more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very hopeful, especially when you talk to the younger generations,
Yeah.
because they're saying it's not good enough. Like,
yeah.
we can't sit there and do the same thing. And a lot of people in the past would have listened to their parents until well into their 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
And the younger generation seems to be, for the most part, pushing back on that, saying no.
They are very communicative,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. I mean, I'm kind of mid-generation there, and I was never even as outspoken as they are and as confident to just say what I wanted to say. And I mean, sometimes I see my sons and I'm like, okay, no, that's good. I couldn't have done that,
Yeah.
And so I really like that they're a lot more comfortable in their skin and willing to fight for it. So.
And the thing that I saw the other week that was just like melted my heart is I was out on the streets in Portland, and there was somebody that was being a little racist.
Mm-hmm.
And this group of teens that were sort of around there, they called him out on it, and they came in support. And
stuff like that makes me cry every time I see things like that.
Beautiful, because I was 2 blocks away, so I couldn't get there in time.
Yeah.
But then they came around the corner when they put that dude in his place and was like, no, you're not going to do that here.
Right. Well, it's great. The no fear of teens too.
Yeah.
They're like, it's fine. I'd been like, I don't know if that's it. Yeah. So yeah, that fearlessness is great. And I think it's a benefit to everyone here that the kids are that way now and are very outspoken and look out for each other. Much more readily willing to cut in and say, hey, don't talk to that person like that. Which when I was in school, everybody just kind of didn't look around.
100%.
Yeah. Because you don't want it to turn on you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I remember in high school in particular, and it was one of the first experiences that I had with anybody who was gay. They wrote a paper in the high school paper, wanting to be anonymous, and talked about everything they sort of were enduring as somebody that was gay. And then because they wrote that paper, they had to transfer schools. That was like that was the first time in my life I was like, I don't understand, and it's just wrong.
No. Yeah, you just on a base level, you can realize that why would that person have to change schools for just saying who they are?
Yeah.
Right? That's got to be the saddest feeling and the most, despair.
Yeah, because he was a sweet kid.
Yeah,
he was such a sweet kid. And when he would just like, where did he go? And then when he found out what happened, it's like, that shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't happen to anyone.
But it happens all over the place.
No, and it's the same. I mean, the people in the IDD community too. Also face a lot of things like that. I mean, I work in houses with ladies that are a bit older and they didn't get to have all the education and people just treated them like children.
Yeah.
They just said, oh, they're not as smart or they're not cognitively as, aware. We'll just put them in a room with cartoons and, they'll figure it. And it's just, they did them such a disservice. But I've had people actively be aggressive. I mean, I wasn't the one out with this individual, but one of the ladies that we work with, she says hi to everybody and she goes, hi, what is your name? And she talks to every single person. And some person started just yelling at her and saying she couldn't believe she was out in public and that we let her out to do. And I just thought, I went, they're very lucky I wasn't with her that day.
No kidding.
I'm probably lucky too, just because I probably would be in trouble. But I couldn't believe that someone in this time frame would walk up to a person saying hi to you and smiling and come at them like that. It's just,
there's no point.
No,
there's no point.
No.
And one of the things that I tell parents too, especially if you have a child that has developmental disability, is even as a child, start the conversation as if they're going to live on their own one day.
Yes.
Don't put into their heads that they're never going to live alone, because then they never will live alone.
Yeah.
If you plant that seed, and even if they never attain that, if that's the goal, it's much more likely that will happen.
Yeah. What was that? There's that saying, was it reach for the moon and you might get a few stars, you know, reach as high as you can and let them go as far as they can, because you don't know. People like to say that. Yeah. People like to say, oh, they can't do that, or this person's never going to do that, or, you know, which is the worst thing in the world to say to somebody. Who knows what we're going to do?
Especially, like, I know too many autistic doctors for that to happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many different abilities too, and maybe I'm not good at one thing, but and that's what I tell one of the ladies at the house all the time, because she's like sometimes gets down on herself for, you know, being disabled and whatever. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of things. I can't do math. You're really good at math. That's a different thing, you know. So everybody has their own abilities.
And it's interesting to me that the with the different abilities, right? So, like with me, for example, calendaring, I can't do.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't get my head around calendars and dates. I can do this podcast all day long.
Yeah.
But I need support to do the calendaring piece.
Yeah.
And if somebody has that extra little bit of support, like if they can't do math, if somebody can help them do math, and then give them a job where they do everything else and support them with the math.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
No, it's true. I didn't realize until I was a full adult that I had ADHD, and you only think of the kids that are running around jumping off the walls. You're doing okay? Your tent's about to go on. Okay.
Just making sure.
But I always thought it was kids that were jumping off the walls and the ones that were out of hand. I didn't realize that the chaos inside my head was part of that as well.
Oh, that's a good
of not
point.
being able to organize myself and not being able to stay on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how freeing it is once you finally have that, because I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was 37.
Yeah. See, I mean,
freeing it is
to know.
finally know.
Yes. No, it is a big difference because you can put a name to it. You know, I thought I just thought I just couldn't do it. And I thought, oh, well, I was actually kind of down on ADHD. I thought, oh, everybody feels that way. I thought, I realize now that's not true. Not everybody feels that way, but it's nice to have the support once you figure it out.
And I'll never forget that first support group where somebody said something along those lines. And I really, up until that moment, thought I was the only one who thought that way.
Mm-hmm.
And how validating that was. Like, oh, wait, I'm not alone in this.
No. Yeah,
Other
and you find people. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a really nice feeling. So
it's such a change.
I'm so happy for you. That's really great that it came better late than never, right?
100%. Yeah. So tell people how they can get a hold of you or the organization you work for.
Well, I am a student at the Western Oregon University Occupational Therapy Program.
Yeah.
It's a doctoral program. We're the first cohort for the program. It's down in down. Thank you.
That's
it's very exciting. It's very exciting. And it's in downtown Salem, right near the conference center. They have a Western Oregon University building down there, and it's for graduate studies, nursing, and different things like that. But yeah, we're the first cohort to do it, and this is our first booth showing it off. And across from here we have our sensory tent. That's for anybody who's getting a little overwhelmed or needs a little place to sit down. We have some word puzzles and some coloring things, and got it nice and blacked out and calm, so in case anybody needs a safe space to hang out.
Well, and when we leave too, I'll give you a couple of sensory kits.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm on the board of the Autism Society of Oregon, and we try to give out as many sensory kits as possible.
Oh, that's very awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for the podcast.
Absolutely. It was great talking to you. I was a little nervous. I've never done something like this before, so I'm glad I didn't freeze up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You want to do a podcast? Hello, I'm Sean.
So sweet you.
And your name?
Gracie.
Gracie. So the only thing to remember is just to try to keep that within 6 inches at all times. Okay. And so, Gracie, what brings you to the Pride event today?
I'm bisexual, and I think I came out like
4-ish years ago.
Yeah.
hmm
Was that a safe journey for you to come out?
Relatively.
Yeah.
My parents are, they haven't been in the community, so it was rough for them at first, but they eventually adjusted.
I'm so glad. Because like one of the things that I want to talk that I want people to understand is
Mhm.
just how important support is.
Yeah,
Like just to be your authentic self
yeah,
means so much.
yes.
And like so like why do you think it's important that people support Pride?
Well, just I know that when I was young and started realizing that I was liking other genders other than this neuro specific gender that you're supposed to like as a female, like I was so like confused because I didn't have any resources or any like I was going to this very conservative school and I was being shamed for liking women. And so everywhere I was just not seeing representation of me. And then when I finally got that, it was like I actually got to be myself.
And just how freeing and validating is to finally be yourself.
Absolutely.
Like just any space we can make where people can be their authentic selves, we just got to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always talk about on this podcast is why it's important to be affirming and kind.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that people should be allowed to be with whomever they want, to do whatever they want,
Yeah.
and just be humans.
Yeah.
Like I don't see what
I
the
love
big deal
that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, something I always say, I love that you just said that, because I always say kindness is one of the easiest things you can do, and it takes so much more effort to be a rude person. And I always go forward in my life with kindness because you never know what someone's been through or who has hurt them
Yeah.
and how they're hurting. And yeah.
And I always say too, like not even identical twins have the same experience in life.
Yeah.
So like judging people by what you see is totally pointless.
Oh my goodness.
Because you have no idea what somebody has been through just to be here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so important for events like this to happen because it needs to exist.
Yeah, this is the first ever large Pride event that's ever happened in Silverton. Like that's like when I saw it, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like so exciting that this is happening, because in your brain as a young queer child in Silverton, you're like, I gotta get out of here like all the time. But then if we get this and we get people finally saying, hey, like we're welcome here and that's okay, like it's amazing.
Because it's you have to be on guard so much in society.
Yeah.
So to have a space where you don't have to be on guard and you're welcome is huge.
Because we're in a space where we have to come out.
Yeah.
And we're in a space where we have to say, hey, by the way, crazy, but I like this other gender.
Yeah.
Or I am a different gender. Like, it's very a wild statement, like to expect your child to be straight. Yeah.
And the other part too that I don't understand is why that isn't just okay.
Exactly.
Like why people just can't be with whatever they want to be. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting to me to see how humans have adapted in the way they act towards others, because you sit in this like bowl of hypocrisy all the time, and you're just like in this stew, and you don't realize, but you're just mixing yourself in by letting yourself be pushed back. And if that makes sense.
100%, yeah.
But if you pull yourself into the face of adversity and you say, this is who I am, and if you're not okay with that, then you don't belong in my life, then you are making a difference.
Yeah.
And it can be really scary to do that because of the society we live in, because of that continual bowl. Oh, I hit.
Especially because like the way the society fits right now is so heteronormative,
Yeah,
and it's built on male dominant culture
yeah,
that and it's built on that white male dominant culture that
Yeah.
doesn't leave room for people that are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to change.
yes.
You know, I'm very hopeful.
Even since like I was younger,
Yeah.
like it's so wild to look at. Like when I was younger, I was literally being hate crimes because I liked a different gender, and now I say I'm gay and people are like, "Oh, chill."
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And it might just be like the society change, or it might be where I was at, or because there wasn't as many of my kind of people, I guess,
Yeah.
where I was. But like Silverton High School, we have a GSA club. Like
That's awesome.
it's amazing.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. Can you tell
and-
people though who may not know what GSA stands for?
so GSA is the Gay Diversity Alliance Club. So it's like basically we get together in a room. I'm gonna go, "You're gay, and we do like the Spider-Man thing.
I love it.
And we're like, "Whoa, crazy!" And then we watch anime, and then we also do a clothes drive every year for our trans and gender non-conforming, anything
Yeah.
under that umbrella,
Yeah.
and just so that people can feel comfortable in their bodies and whatever they want to wear.
That's awesome.
And it's completely like under wraps. Nobody, like, if you don't want somebody knowing you're in the club, they will not know.
Yeah.
And so it's just so safe for everybody in the club. And I'm also the president of our art club, and we collab, and I do like pins. And actually over there, I mean, people at
Yeah.
home are not going to know that, but on the other side of the park, we're actually have a booth, and there's pins and face painting and everything. So
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And how much of a difference does that make, right? Because I want people to understand
yeah,
how much of a difference having that safe space where you're not going to be outed.
yeah, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
You sit alone for so long, and then all of a sudden there's this entire community of people there for you.
Yeah.
And it honestly makes you not know what to do with yourself, because you're just sitting there like, oh my goodness, you're like me, and you're like me, and you're like me, and I'm safe,
Yeah.
and it's okay. And yeah.
I was diagnosed as autistic at age 37.
Oh wow, that must have been a
And
shift.
It was a huge shift. At the same time, though, that first safe space where I was around other people with autism
Yeah,
was so validating, because it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not the only one in this room who thinks or talks or looks this way.
yeah,
It's so important to have a sense of community,
yeah.
because like if you're in isolation, it leads to so much mental illness,
Yes.
and it's just not fair
hmm
for a child who's going through this sort of phase in their life to be in isolation. It's like
Yeah.
the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I work at my school in the basic and functional skills classrooms.
Yeah.
And I think that, oh my goodness, some of my best friends in the whole world are in those classrooms, and there's still so much work to happen in that area. Like, and after high school, I'm going to become a tattoo artist, and I'm going to be working with kids with special needs, and in
That's
just in that area.
That's
And
so awesome.
yeah.
So have you decided on what college you're going to, or?
I'm actually
What?
not going to a college. I'm going to a trade school for tattoo, and then I'm gonna be getting my my license for
Yeah.
working with kids with any
That's awesome.
diversity. And
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot. Like tattoos, like were actually like a trade school and like an apprenticeship.
yeah, it's really awesome. Actually, we just got a new tattoo school that I'm hoping I can get to go to in Mount Angel.
Nice.
So it's pretty close, and
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so if somebody has never been to a Pride event before,
Mhm.
and they're coming for the first time, what would you say to them?
I mean, hey, this is my first one, honestly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would just say, go, expect to feel loved,
Yeah.
because there's literally a booth here that just says free mom hugs, and they just say, hey, it's okay to be queer, you want a hug?
Yeah.
Like, and it's so accepting,
Yeah.
and it's such a good feeling, so you just go to one.
And I can say this with 100% honesty and sincerity. I have never been to a Pride event or an event with people from the LGBTQ community and not been loved and welcomed.
Oh, that's so amazing.
That's not the same case as straight events.
Yeah.
It's so if you come to Pride, just know you're going to be accepted and loved here.
Yeah. Everyone's
100%.
gonna just welcome you.
Yeah. And it's so important to have that feel of welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mhm. That was really good. You did.
Bye, guys. Have a safe trip. You too. He's like, I need to be over here. Hey,
Thank you, buddy. You're lucky you're cute. That's all I say. Oh, no, thank you. Come on, Finn. He's a Vizsla Chihuahua mix. Basically, his face and ears are like 40 pounds. Which also explains why he can walk 2.5 miles and still not be tired. He holds it. The little ass. Because it's like he knows. Just a little stinker. You can be a stinker. So many people are just afraid. I like your hat. I just saw it.
And didn't you get one of the hats? Do you want me to host it? Sir, come on. Sir, come on.
Community involvement, kindness, positivity.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Hey, come on in. No, Finn, you're not coming in.
Oh, the puppy can't come in. He's not allowed.
No, he's a terror when it comes to stuff. All right.
Dad, I smell you.
I know, right?
He's cute.
And your name?
It's Sydney.
Sydney?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Sydney.
It's
I'm
nice to
Sean.
meet you. It's nice to meet you.
So what brings you to Pride today?
I'm doing my first vendor fair with my mentor. She's teaching me herbalism. She was actually my midwife.
Teaching you.
Herbalism.
Tell me more.
So like learning about like plants and kind of like what they do and how they can help your body and heal you, and it's really cool. And
That's so awesome.
yeah, I made some teas. I made this tummy tie. I called it Happy Tummy Tea. It has like marshmallow root in it and like dandelion and chamomile and plantain, and they're like really good for your gut. And like marshmallow root is really good for supporting like your actual like tummy, and then dandelion is good for supporting your liver, and then so is plantain, and then chamomile is also a calming. A lot of people give it to if you have an upset tummy. You know, people are like, oh, eat some ginger. Drinking chamomile tea also helps. So,
and I always appreciate that because, like, a lot of the times, if you have a nature approach or an herbal approach as opposed to the synthetic sort of medication that you get from big pharma,
yeah.
it's actually better on the body while it actually is a little more effective, I think.
Yeah, actually, I'm one of those people who like I'm so grateful for Western medicine. You know, it's helped save
100%.
lives. Yeah, but I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of Western medicine derivated from plants. You know, and I think it's just a lot of. I think we live in that culture of like we want things now, and when you use herbal products, it's more of a like over time kind of thing, and it's also it's not just the herbs, it's like the lifestyle that you choose to live too. And I think with how the world is today, you don't get to like take slow living, you know. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it feels really good to have like a cup of tea and you just kind of feel relaxed, and it's kind of like self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. And so, like, was there a decision as to why you came to Pride, or?
Oh, why I came to Pride. This is my first Pride ever, actually. And no, I mean, my wife is trans. She's a trans woman, and I was just like, Meg's like, what do you want to do for vendors fair? And I was like, oh, let's go to Pride. So like, this is my first Pride, and I don't know what I'm doing here. So I'm just like here, I guess. That was a very odd question.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that it's your first one.
Yeah,
right? Because it's an experience that I think everybody should try out.
Yeah, it feels really like at home, and I don't know if it's because like I feel like I'm doing something that I've like called to do, or it's because I'm around people who are like-minded, or I don't know, but I'm really elated. I'm like very happy.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing here?
So, I'm here because as an ally, I think you need to make sure that you represent here as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things where I've never been to a Pride event or an event with people run by gay people or somebody from the LGBTQ community where I haven't felt welcomed and loved.
Yeah.
And so anything I can do to support that community, I have so many friends who are a part of that community as well. And life can be rough.
Yeah.
If you're a part of the LGBTQ community sometimes, because people are so judgmental and so just closed-minded.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, my wife. I'm not trying to speak for her experiences because you know I'm not a trans individual, but she like struggles to go out, you know, sometimes because she's afraid of like conflict that might happen, and then like when she's with me, and I read somewhere when you, as a partner of a trans individual, you want to go off their reaction, so you don't want to be like, but I'm sorry. I was like, I'm kind of like a bulldog, so I'm like, if someone's rude, I'm gonna be like, excuse me, like, you know, if someone's like looking and they're being kind of snotty with their looks, I'll just be like, you should take a picture, it lasts like a lot longer, and I'm just kind of like in their face, and my wife will be like, hi. Like, hi, don't do that, and but I hate that she has to go through that, and I just feel like I don't know why people can't just like accept why can't you just let people live their lives? Like, I don't understand. Like,
I don't understand it either to this day. Like, it's so much easier to be kind and let people live and be their authentic selves than it is to actually hold on to whatever weird, mysterious outlook on life that you have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand people that have to put people down. It's like, why?
Yeah.
It's so much more work.
It is. Someone asked me the other day if I hate anybody, and I was like thinking about it, and I was like, I don't think I hate anyone because it takes too much energy to like give that energy to anybody. Like, there's people like I don't like, but I'm not like, oh God, I hate this person, or because like it's just like, why waste my time? Like, I'm not gonna let them take up my energy and space in my mind. You know, I'm gonna think about all the people that bring me joy and like happiness, and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm probably like really bubbly, and people are like,
No,
no.
you're good. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So
No, I totally appreciate that too, right? Because like it's a huge thing for people to sort of have that or see that in life, right?
Yeah.
Because I think when you see on TV and what you see in regular media, they don't show people who are authentic, bubbly, and happy. It's all like negativity and all that stuff. But like that's not real humans.
No.
Most of us are loving, caring individuals.
yeah.
And too many times those are the voices that don't get a chance to speak.
Yeah. And then I think that when they do that, when they focus, and I should be sensitive when I say this, when we focus on people who might feel sad, and it kind of paints this picture that, oh, everybody's like depressed, and
Yeah.
and then it makes everybody feel sad. And it's like, no, there's people who are like, you know, little balls of sunshine, and, you know, and extroverted, and then they always have like that little inverted friend who's like, I'm over here. And I'm very loud, and
Yeah. But I appreciate that, right? Because one of the things that I have figured out in this journey, because I've been doing this podcast now about a year, and one of the things that I have figured out is that what you see everywhere else isn't really a good representation of people in general.
yeah.
We have so much more in common as humans than we have separating us. But if you were to look at the TV, they would say, and you would believe, that we're so divisive and against each other.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's actually really crazy. I was being kind of like Silverton. I didn't realize that there was such a good queer community here in Silverton.
Yeah.
And because I've always like these small towns, I'm always like, oh my gosh, it's full of probably like a bunch of conservatives who don't like queers. And then like I'm here and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm getting this warm hug, and this town is so cute. Oh my goodness. We stopped like this little cafe, and they had like a little outdoor seating, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'll move here. I think I could live here. Like especially with knowing that there's a good queer community. That's just like awesome, because you know, you kind of think that you're the only one, and then when you see your people, you're like, oh wow, actually I do belong. And I think that's why it's super important for us as queer individuals to really just be loud and be out there, because the louder and out there we are, the more they're going to be like, oh, you do exist, you know. Like I really dislike how people are like, oh, being trans is new. And it's like, no, that's not new. That's been around forever. It's been in cultures
Even in Roman times.
Yeah. And I don't think people realize that. And it's because it's just like not mainstream or whatever. And it's like, nope, we're just going to be louder, and we're going to scream it from the rooftops until you guys see us and hear us and appreciate us, because we're pretty awesome as queer individuals.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the other part too that just sort of like I shake my head sometimes is that idea of, because it's a small community, you would think that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a little more complicated than that. It's a little more nuanced. I'm sure there are people in this community that are that way, but I have found, especially in Silverton in particular, that it's way more welcoming here.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance to go by, I've got rocks in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like a store?
Yeah, it's a store right downtown in Silverton.
Okay.
It's a combination rock shop, fossil shop, and an organic meat market.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and
like
the two women that own it are amazing.
Like rocks as in like crystals?
Yeah.
Oh, I love crystals.
Rocks, crystals, all kinds. Anything rocks or fossil related, they have it in that store.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
My kiddos would love that.
And it's owned by two amazing women.
That's awesome.
That are just like, yeah.
And it's called Rocks in My Head.
Rocks in My Head.
And meat too. Wow, it's like rocks, meat.
She had a dairy farm and a goat farm, and then her dad, who owned the rock shop, passed away.
Oh, okay.
And so she decided because she wanted to keep the rock shop alive for her father.
Mm-hmm.
She went through the USDA process and actually has a full-fledged certified grocery store that sells organic meat and cheese.
That's so cool.
Out of the back of the shop.
I'll definitely have to go check that out. Yeah, like I haven't been in their market here yet, but I'm local to Salem, and so I go to the Saturday market there all the time, and I love it. So I that's my mom. It's a podcast. It's a podcast.
We're live on the air right now.
Yes, I'm live with the microphone, Mom. And then Hi. This is my mom.
I'm the mom. I have 6 kids, 5 grandkids.
We're just
Leo, her daughter, thinks I'm 40. She said that. She goes, Grandma. I was like, what? She goes, you're so looking good for 40. I'm like, I'll keep you. All day. Sweetie, I'm 53.
You don't look a day over 20.
Still out partying.
She does actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would like to ask, actually, given that sort of exchange right there, how important is it having a parent that is totally supportive of you in your life?
It's actually, you know, that you say that's really, really important. And that's my mother-in-law. So me and my wife have been together since we were 16, 17.
Yeah.
So before she transitioned and then during her transition, which is beautiful to watch someone like turn, they like this little caterpillar and then they just blossom into this wonderful, beautiful butterfly. And I love watching the process. And anyways, having like supportive family is super important. My my side of the family, my birth mom passed away a couple years ago, but I think my mom would be like 100% like, you know.
Yeah.
And my dad's very supportive too. My like dad's side of the family, as in like my half brother, they're not supportive, but they also voted for Trump, so it's kind of like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
so but they're very respectful and in that sense, but it's like I don't really put myself around them because of that. I do love, and that's like a hard line because it's like I love my brother, and having those different views is so hard. So it's like, oh, I gotta love you from a distance because I don't, you know, it's hard. Yeah, but like having that supportive family is like, it's so important, and having that support system, especially when you look at like suicidal rates for queer individuals and like not having those. A parent, I see so many like Reddit stories of these kids and they're like, oh, I came out, my parents kicked me out, and I'm like, how could you do that?
Child.
Yeah, I could never. My oldest came out as non-binary, and I could not love them. They're amazing. They are, I wish they were here with me. They're literally the most wonderful human I've ever met, and I'm gonna cry because they're just like they're growing and getting their own opinion on things, and even though sometimes they drive me crazy and I want to like Bart Simpson them, you know. I just like watching them blossom and get their like own opinion and how they think about things, and also like how they talk about like gender roles. They'll be like, oh, like one of the reasons why I asked them is like, oh, you know, what made you want to be come out as non-binary? And they're like, well, people tell me I can't do things because I'm a girl, and people tell me I can't do things because I'm not a boy. And I was like, oh yeah, well, you can do whatever you want regardless of who you identify or what gender, you know. And so she's like starting to like, or they're starting to realize that, and it's just crazy to see. And when my wife first came out, she came out and then she went back in one time. I don't want to tell her story because it's kind of rude, but anyways, when she first came out, our oldest was like, I think like 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before we had our middle, who's 5 now. And it didn't even phase them.
Yeah.
Like they were like, and then they would just tell their friends, oh yeah, my dad turned into my mama too. And then their friends are like, oh, that's super dope. Cool. And it's like really crazy to me that we think that kids are kind of like, kids don't know hate. So I don't know what's going with that.
It's learned,
Yeah.
right? And it's one of those things where it's a social construct built by heteronormative folks.
Yeah.
And the fact that we as a society are finally coming around to the fact that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And that we're not correcting kids when they want to be themselves.
Yeah.
I think is a huge shift.
Yeah. Which is crazy from like, I'm a younger millennial. I was born in 96. So like, it's crazy because when we were kids, I felt like we were pretty accepting, but then at the same time we weren't. Like there was like, and so to see this new generation like coming along, and I guess my generation, my oldest is in his Gen Alpha, and it's just crazy how they're just like my generation thought furries were weird, you know, and then their generation is like all about it. And I always thought they were so cute. I was like, oh my gosh, and then like I follow a few people on Instagram, and like all of them are like super hot, and I was like, I think I just have this like thing that I think all furries are probably like the most attractive people we've ever seen, and they're just like these cute people who dress up as animals, and I'm like, yes, let's do that. And her whole generation, or their whole generation, is just like, oh yeah, we love that. I think they call them inferians, or
Oh, interesting.
yeah. And I don't, they're kids. Let them be kids. Let them have fun. Like,
Yeah.
this is the best. This is like when your imagination hasn't turned into anxiety, and you can play pretend and be who you want to be, and it's not making you anxious. And then you become an adult, and your anxiety is telling you that the people across the street are looking at you kind of funny when they're really not.
Yeah.
So, which I think is like wonderful. So you should always support.
100%. And for anybody listening right now, if you have time to come down to Silverton Pride, come down to this place, check it out.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm sorry I probably talked too much.
No, there's no such thing as talking too much on this podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, of course.
What made you start a podcast?
So I'm autistic, and I was a recluse and could not get out of the house, and was like not very good at making friends. And so I created this podcast as a way for me to give myself permission to talk to people.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It has changed my life so much. Just that I had this mindset of I couldn't do a lot, and to shift from that to like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like all of the good things that have come. And the other reason I started it is because I got really upset one day because the media was talking about this person who was autistic from a very negative lens. And I'm like, okay, that's not the whole story. All you're painting is this one little snippet of behavior.
Yeah.
My question is always, what happened before that behavior?
Yeah.
And when you talk to and I reached out to that parent, and I'm like, what's going on? And you find out that, oh, this kid was harassed, beaten, and all of this other stuff before he lashed out.
Yeah.
All you see is this kid lashed out.
Yeah.
And like, that's not the whole story.
Yeah.
Like, people don't usually behave that way unless something happens to them.
Yeah.
And so I wanted a podcast where I could have real conversations about what's really going on with America.
Yeah.
And having that idea of having open and honest conversations that paints us as humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. You're not only an ally for the LGBTQ, you're also allies for everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. I love that.
Absolutely,
that's beautiful.
Everybody. Yeah. And that the only requirement to be a guest on my podcast is you have to be kind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you're not kind, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
You're good. Don't forget your phone.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's go see who's next, folks.
Sean, I don't think we're very good babysitters. I'm over here feeding him stuff, but that's okay. He might be a little crazy. We're so sorry. He's like, give me the food. To be quiet. Give me
Oh,
the
we
food.
can't. We're good.
He's like, give me the food.
Oh, that was a really good one.
Yeah, it was. I was listening. Yeah. Okay, so we've got water. You had to give one of the little kids that was sitting her water because she was choking.
That's why I brought extra.
And I was like, maybe if I look away, it'll help. We just kept making her laugh more.
What time is it?
It is 11:41.
Oh, perfect.
That's it.
Yep. The main guests start coming at 12:45.
Wait, you have main guests?
Yeah.
Whom?
The trans.
It's okay.
The trans drag
Get out.
person of the year.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. And 3 other people that are helping putting on this entire event. What?
Oh, are you doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will people get in trouble?
Oh no. No,
Thank you. We were reading up my baseball. Sean, what time? 12:45. 12:45. Okay. Danny, I know you have to do that, buddy. You're not the best babysitters. I don't know why you trust us with your humans. They're babies. He's like, come on, Dad, let me show you. He's like, Poppy is over there. We really like Poppy.
you're a character.
Are you good? Good for you for making good choices. Go right here if you change your minds. Oh, Lydia. Where could I get it? Follow it. Lydia Rhonda. Amy. Yes. I'm not sure. Oh, is he baby? No, I mean, my wife's probably already gone to work, but.
Yes, I think so.
He should be. He's got things to say. Oh, yeah. Be honest. How are you doing? Oh, sorry. Appreciate asking. Thanks. We were wondering where that was. Yeah, I love talking. I cannot shut up.
I've been wanting to talk to somebody from Cherry City for like 6 months now.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
freaking
You said
amazing.
roller derby?
Yeah.
Yes.
I only saw it once live.
There
I
you go.
love it. Yes.
I've been 3 times.
Well, we have a bout tonight.
Ooh.
It's our 18 and over.
Oh.
So
Come on
it's
in.
the most fun bout of the year.
Thank you. I will definitely keep that in mind.
Can I take your photo while you're doing it?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and we're actually live on YouTube and Facebook right now.
Hi. Happy to be here. All right. Do I just pull her over?
Yep.
Perfect.
And my name is Sean. Your name is
I'm Wolf.
Wolf.
Nice to meet
That's
you.
so awesome. Is that your Roller City name?
It is, yes.
Okay,
My full
that's
is
freaking
Crying
amazing.
Wolf.
Yeah. So how did you get started in roller derby?
So I have a friend down in California who lives in Monterey.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, so she played. And she was like, oh, did you know that your city has a team? And I was like, I did not know. And I went to the recruitment like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And it consumed my entire life.
and I have not looked back.
Oh, that's so awesome. And for those of you listening right now, I have to attest, going to the Cherry City Rollers is an amazing experience. It's so much
It's
fun.
so much fun. We
And-
have such a good time.
And you have so many talented people on the team.
Yes.
Like when I see some of like when they're doing their thing and like, just anyway, sorry. I'm kind of
Oh yeah, especially our juniors. They
Yeah.
are so good. We just had we were so fortunate. We just hosted juniors playoffs for our region 2 weeks ago, and our team came in third for that.
That's so awesome.
So they went up against some incredible teams and played so well.
And a lot of people don't understand just how much work it's involved with being in that level of competition.
Yes.
Too. How often do you have to practice and all that?
I practice about 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then do off skates conditioning other days. So
Yeah.
I
Off-skates
skate
conditioning.
a lot.
That's so awesome. And so how did you like get started? Was it like something just like, were you doing this back in the other place you said?
No, so I started exclusively at Salem with Cherry City.
Mhm.
So I went to a recruitment, and then the next week I went to my very first game. I'd never even seen it.
How awesome is that?
And then I started going to practices the week after, and I have taken maybe 2 weeks off total
Yeah.
since I've started. So I have such a good time doing it. I love the community that's involved in doing roller derby.
So welcoming.
It's so welcoming.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's such an inclusive space to be.
And it's so important to have those inclusive spaces because like once you're in a spot where you know you can be yourself without judgment, it's so different.
Oh, exactly.
And so what brings you to Pride today?
So the Silverton Pride team actually reached out to us
Yeah.
to ask us to table with them. So we are so excited to be here
That's so awesome.
because derby is such a queer space.
Yeah.
And particularly you see it with our juniors because we play open division for our juniors.
Mhm.
So we get kids of every gender and they get to explore what it means to be themselves.
And it's such an experience too, because I don't think people understand how action packed it is.
Yes.
It is not like, I hate baseball. This is not baseball. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Hmm.
And like, I don't know how you all stay within the lines.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it is a lot, but we have so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
We just, it's such a good community. It's such a good group of people that are doing it.
And so like, what's the time commitment though? So like the season, is it like 6-month seasons or?
Yeah, so we actually have our last bout of the year tonight on the 28th. So that's going to be our 18 and over bout. It's our season closer. We sort of take summers off because our warehouse does not have air conditioning.
Okay.
So we tend to take it pretty easy during the summers and not host bouts, but we'll get going again back in September. And then we'll do 1 or 2 bouts a year. Or sorry, 1 or 2 bouts a month.
And the part that I really appreciate about the Cherry City folks in particular is that it doesn't matter what level of experience you have, there's a spot for you.
Exactly.
And you can learn and train and be a part of the community and sort of just build yourself up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in skating, we will teach you how to skate from the ground up.
Yeah.
If you come in and you decide that actually I don't want to be on a team, we will still keep you there.
Yeah.
And you can learn how to do all of the things. And then we also teach people to how to officiate and how to be a ref. And that is the most fun. I started reffing in stripes about a year ago, and
Yeah.
I have so much fun doing it.
So I always wanted to ask,
Mhm.
like, because one of the things that I see during the practice or the warm-ups is that stopping on the front. Like,
Mhm.
how hard was that to sort of get down? Because that looks kind of terrifying. if
Yeah.
you think about it. Like, it's just like, holy cow.
Yeah, going up on your toe stops.
Yeah.
It is such a blast. There's a very good skater from Montreal named Miracle Whips who has a whole video about running on your toe stops, and she describes it like you're galloping and you're taking that space, and it is very funny to watch, but it can be a little daunting at first.
It looks almost like you're gonna go over,
Mm-hmm.
but then at the last minute, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
catch
something
yourself.
else.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And watching those juniors play, they can do things with their bodies that I would never even consider because I am too old to try some of that stuff.
I appreciate that. And so, like, how easy is it to get started? Is it just sort of like
Oh,
go to
it's
the
super
website
easy.
and
Yeah. So we have a recruitment night coming up on July 7th. It's a Monday night. So if you want to come and learn about what roller derby looks like in Salem, you can come to that. But we also have started doing rolling recruitments. So if you email our membership director and you say, hey, I want to start doing roller derby, we'll just bring you in and run you through a boot camp and get you on skates.
That's so awesome.
It's super easy. We'll have somebody there to hold your hand
Yeah.
for as long as you need to stay upright and stay stable.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, one of the things that you talked about is like how that it is sort of like a career space.
Yes.
And one of the things I want to highlight is how important that is for a space like that to exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your experience with that kind of a space?
So I actually met my partner there. She's standing just outside of the booth. That's Llama Croft. She is so incredible. But I met her doing roller derby, and she has made my life so amazing. We just had our second anniversary. It's
Congratulations.
so good.
And your coach.
Yeah.
I've seen you coach before.
Yeah, that's Coach Llama.
Yeah. You have put quite the team together. Yeah,
Yes.
I have to say. Yeah.
She's incredible. But yeah, just having this queer space where it's like you get to talk about all of these things, where it's like very it's a good space to explore, like, hey, I think I'm trans, I think I'm bi, I think I'm poly, and you have all of these people there who have those life experiences who can talk to you about it.
Not only talk to you about it, but talk to you about it in an affirming and welcoming
Absolutely.
and positive approach. Where, you know, like, if you bring the subject up or you have that conversation, that you don't have that fear of somebody acting a certain way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even more practical things like, oh, I'm going to be starting HRT, and this is what my doctor thinks that my dosage is going to be. What was your experience doing that? And we have people going both directions on HRT. So we have a really wide experience, or a wide range of experiences there. So it's so helpful to have people who have those lived experiences doing it.
And not only that, but it's one of those things where you're not going to get that information in mainstream media.
Exactly.
Like, it's unfortunate too that we can't have those frank conversations, or you can't go to a space like to find accurate information.
Exactly.
It's such an interesting sort of experience in this country.
Yeah, and everybody's lived experiences are so different. It's good to get like that very wide range of, this is what happened to me and this is what I went through.
Yeah, I know people are tired of me saying it, but every time I say it, it's not even identical twins have the same story on this planet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, you check your judgment out the door, because you have no idea what somebody has been through before they've come to you that day.
Exactly.
And it's so much easier to be kind and curious.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I just don't understand people that aren't.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's my autistic brain or not, but I just don't understand people that aren't.
Yeah, we're also really neurodivergent in roller derby. Shockingly.
Yeah.
So that is also very helpful to find people who have those lived experiences as well. To be like, oh yeah, like my autistic ass is not gonna do that. Thank you so much.
Yep. I appreciate that.
But
yeah. And so you all play down in the warehouse that's down in downtown Salem, right?
Yeah, so we're up on Madison Street, right by the fairgrounds. So it's Madison and Baker by the train tracks. But we are so lucky to have that space, because we go to other leagues and it's like they have to rent a venue and they have to rent all of their tech equipment and lay down a track and lay down a rope and everything every time. And we live here, and that's so fortunate for us. The only other league in the area that has something comparable is Rose City, who is the best team in the world. They won champs back in November. So they are incredible, but I would say they're one of the only leagues in the area that also has their own venue. So we're so fortunate to have that, because we have practices every day of the week.
Yeah.
So no matter what level you are, there's going to be a space specifically for you at Cherry City.
And one of the things that I stress upon this podcast more than anything else is just how important it is to support organizations like yours, because of everything that's sort of included in it.
Yeah.
How can people support your organization?
Come to a bout. We have so much fun at our bouts. We put on a great show for people, so I always recommend that. Otherwise, we're always looking for people to sponsor us or buy our merch. We've got some really cool shirts out right now. We're tabling just at the other end down here, but we brought a bunch of our Pride stuff.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. And if you like I said, if you haven't gone to a match, you need to. You just like the acrobatics and then the combination of physicality too, because you have both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah,
like you have those
absolutely.
people that are sort of in the trenches pushing along the way,
Mhm.
and then the people that are flying around in circles.
Yes.
It's so much fun.
Oh, it's such a blast. And it is so interesting to see folks' different play styles.
Yeah. And so like when people come to the event and like are there participating,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that you as players want the fans to do during the event?
Oh, I just want them to have a good time. Roller derby, especially the first time you watch it, you are not going to know what's going on. So I always recommend we try and put audience plants out there to be like, all right, here's a person who knows about roller derby, and they're going to walk you through play by play what is happening right now. Because the rules are convoluted. It's hard to follow this sport because you're playing on a team of 15 people each, but you only field 5 at a time. And you have 4 people who are blockers, and you have one person who's a jammer, and the jammer has to get around everybody and get through the track. But the blockers all have to stay in the same space, kind of.
Yeah.
And it gets complicated. And I love rules. So I will talk about it forever. But things to keep in mind are have a good time.
Yeah.
You're gonna see some things that are baffling, but it is going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I can attest for that too. Yeah. And like after the event too, one of the things I do appreciate is like you all are welcoming to talk to people in the crowd as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you have questions while you're there, or you have things and you want to know what it's like, just go up to one of the players and say, hey, tell me about what's going on, and they're welcoming everyone up there.
Yeah, it's such a good time.
Well, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah.
Anytime. Let me scooch that guy back.
You got it. Mm-hmm.
I'm getting an email so I can maybe sign up and do something. Yeah. Or I'm really good at blowing whistles. Yes. Really great at that. I can do that. Yes.
All right. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much. It's great to meet you. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. Katie Ilya. Yeah. She's on roller derby as well.
Yeah. She doesn't do the roller derby herself.
Yeah.
She can't physically, but she does like the timekeeping. And
That's what I was just talking to Lana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
Coach Llama.
Coach Llama. They were like, yeah, this is great. Like, how long have you been at it? 8 years. Thank you. I had no idea. Yeah. He doesn't. Yes.
Sullivan's Unheard. We're talking about
Okay, but I might cry.
I've already cried 3 times today. I'm not lying.
I am not surprised. It's a hard time right now for a lot
It
of
is.
people.
Oh, it so is.
Okay. Good Frank. A good little break for Frank too.
Oh, hi, Frank. Can I say hello?
He's sometimes not friendly. You keep to yourself. Keep to yourself.
You're fine, Frank. I have a Finn. He's kind of similar.
Yeah.
And your name?
My name is Katie.
Katie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Katie.
meet
I'm
you.
Sean.
Sean,
So what
nice to
brings
meet
you to
you.
Pride?
I want to make sure that everybody in this community feels supported and loved and safe.
Yeah.
Above all else, safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why I love talking to people about why it's so important for that, because I don't think people understand just how important having that safe space to be is for people.
Well, if you have ever been around somebody who doesn't feel safe, their world crumbles and they shut down and they stop smiling and they stop engaging, and sometimes even worse. And for what?
Yeah.
There's no point. So as humans, we are always sort of listening for people's babies who are crying, and we get really offended if people let their babies cry because we have an instinct to protect humanity. So I don't understand why some people deserve more protection than others, and I think it's really important to make sure that that is not conveyed to young people.
Yeah.
That some people deserve more protection than others. I don't know exactly the right words, but it's really important that people feel that they belong. There's so many people who have such entitlement that don't feel that it's important to make a sense of belonging for other people. And that entitlement makes them rise to the top. Their voice rises to the top, but their voice isn't necessarily based on any kind of experience. It's just there because somebody thinks they're pretty or they said something funny or catchy. And at this point, we have to start differentiating between a message that's being propagated just because people are popular and a message that's being propagated because it's important to protect all people.
Yeah.
And going back to the idea that we don't want people to let our babies cry, when does it stop that we stop feeling protective of other people's children? It's just confusing to me, you know?
100%. And one of the things that I never did understand about humanity, and one of the reasons I started this podcast, is that with the media today, it's the narcissists and the evil and the mean people that get the voice.
Right, which is so strange.
The people that are kind and considerate and compassionate are sort of left to the sidelines. And it's weird that we live in a society that rewards that behavior.
Yeah, it is.
It almost like have to have that sort of behavior to succeed.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It is very strange. And then, you know, you think about like some of the most vulnerable people in our society don't have any voice.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I don't want to invoke the Bible because it drives a lot of people away, But one of the sayings in the Bible is the meek shall inherit the earth. And who
Yeah.
the people who are professing that they're Christians and trying to capture all of the attention are not meek.
Yeah.
They're not meek. They are creating so much division in our world. And it's just so sad to me because I grew up in a time where people were still reeling from the civil rights movement, and it was really important, and people were really respectful of civil rights. And I think people have forgotten. I think people forgot that women literally died to give us the right to vote, and that I can never remember his name. I can't remember his name, but he was one of the four founders in the Pride movement. And without that person, I don't know where we'd be as a culture.
I don't know that name either, and I will have to familiarize myself with that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people who really made life better for us now by standing up back in the day.
Yeah, because I recently read a book about health disparities from people in the LGBTQ community, and it was horrifying.
Yeah.
Like the way the medical community treated people of that community, even to this day, to a certain extent. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of just how much crap you have to go through to receive medical care of equivalent nature.
Right.
If you're a member of that community.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
It's frustrating, and it makes you wonder, okay, so there's the person who's not receiving the care, but then there's the person who's not providing it.
Yeah.
And what happened to them to make them be that way?
Yeah.
And how can we avoid bringing up more children that are of that ilk? Like we don't want anybody to be that way. We don't want anybody to be making choices that leave some people out.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's the Socratic method where you discuss everything until both parties can understand one another's point of view, and that doesn't happen.
No.
There's just the loudest voice is dominant and wins, and right now the loudest voice is a really scary voice, and backed up by other people who are not living on the same planet as most of us because they are divided by income. They're way out of, they're far from reality.
100%. And the other piece too to that is that we don't have enough long form conversations anymore. Like you're getting sound bites.
Yes.
And that's all you get. And you have all of these opinions based on sound bites. But if you have the ability to actually talk about what's really going on and talk about like all of the nuanced stuff,
right,
you'll find that we are way more similar than we far apart these days.
Right. Well, I mean, people are all very much the same. Even with all of their extreme differences, we're all very much the same.
Yeah.
Nobody can be a dog.
Yeah.
We can want to be a dog, but we're still going to have people skin and people eyes and people ears, and we'll be people. And the differences that we want to have, we're encouraged for so long, this rugged individuality, be yourself. Now, all of a sudden, diversity and inclusion is being thought of as bad. And whose children are those adults? Like, how did they get to the point where they think that they should not include people? When did inclusion become bad? How did that happen?
I don't understand that one either, because it's like you're fighting against something that is just about treating people with equal civil rights and treating people just like human beings.
Right.
It's really about giving people the equal opportunity to experience life.
Right.
And I don't understand why that's such a bad thing.
Right. Especially when like nobody's trying to be anybody's friend who doesn't want them.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to be in their own community. Everybody, not just this community here today, but all of the communities are trying to be own communities. They're not trying to step out and recruit. We've got enough people in our own communities. We don't need to be like, hey, you, I know you believe, but let me just convince you. I mean, there's a couple religious groups, I guess, that do that, but it's not a very popular thing to do anymore.
It's not very successful either.
We tend to let people come to us if they are interested in our message, whatever, message might not be the right word, but way of life.
Yeah.
And There's lots of different ways of life. Lots and lots of different ways of life. I don't know why some people feel like, excuse me, why they feel like they have to be controlling of other people's ways of life when it doesn't harm anybody that is vulnerable.
I couldn't agree more. It's one of the reasons I started this podcast is because not a lot of people have the opportunity to be a voice. And I really wanted to focus this podcast on giving people that don't normally have a voice a platform to talk about sort of stuff that's really going on.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I was growing up, I never really thought about, I did not think about my sexuality. We were just growing up to be straight people. And generally that's what happened in our generation with the people that I knew. But that's not true for my cousins' children. They feel challenged to feel like included in the male-female gender norms.
Yeah.
And their parents are challenged by that. And I was ready. I was ready for my kid to be like, I don't really feel like that. And I was ready. I was like, you're fine, whatever. And my child's like, nope, I'm straight. And I'm like, well, great, good for you. Whatever's all wonderful. It's all good. But I have two cousins and they each have a child who does not identify with the gender they were born with. They were assigned at birth.
Yeah.
And none of them were ready for it. They weren't ready for it. They were not prepared. They were fully prepared for their children to be totally straight and go right through life the way that they did, with all the same expectations of, get a job, get married, have babies. And it's not going to be like that for those kids. And it's been really interesting to watch them change and to watch the parents change. The kids are always going to change, but parents don't always.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting to watch them change. And especially my one cousin, she's just grown and changed so much. She's become a really accepting person when she wasn't previously. So it isn't set in stone. People feel what they feel. We change and we grow depending on what we experience and what we encounter in life.
And it's nice to have people that are willing to adapt and change.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm always curious about too is because if you look at it from like the 1,000-foot level, they're holding on to a hierarchy or sort of a conforming sort of normative that may not even be a part of their own identity. It's just something that somebody else said that was important, and now they're passing it down to the next generation.
Right.
When in reality, like gender and all of that stuff is kind of a construct.
It very much is.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe me, look up slime mold. Because they have lots of genders, more than I can conceptualize. I can't even begin to understand.
Yeah.
They have no gender conforming anything, but they have to be like that to function, because slime molds are individuals that come together to become one to propagate their species. And they have to have all of these different things, and they do change as they're going along. If one isn't doing the job, a different one just does it.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Is that a sea creature?
Slime mold is it's a tiny little thing. It's not a mold and it's not slime. It is a tiny little, I think it's protozoa. I'm not 100% positive if it's a protozoa or not. But they're individual cells, and they consume what they're consuming until there's no more of it, and then they gather together and they make a little stalk, and then the ones at the top put spores out. They start off all the same, and they change as they need to propagate the species. And I think there's over 1,000 genders in slime molds.
That's so amazing.
It is amazing. And people were it's neat, isn't it? And we're limited. We're limited to even what we can understand, because we don't have to gather together and create a stalk and change what we are to become something completely different in order to propagate our species. But we should be willing to believe that could be, I mean, maybe not exactly that, but some things might be changing because we need them to change.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And so, what have you been experienced at Pride so far?
Nothing. We just walked in with the
Just
dog.
walked in with the dog.
Yep. Walked in with the dog. I bought a couple of rocks because I love rocks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Have you been to I've Got Rocks in My Head?
I love that place.
Oh, I love that place.
Yes,
too.
it's a wonderful place.
Oh.
Really lovely owners too.
Oh, I love them.
Owners and operators. Yeah.
Quick. I love her.
Yeah.
She's so awesome.
Yes. Yes. Really, I love Silverton. Silverton is a really wonderful place.
It's one of those small town feels, but it's a welcoming small town feel.
It's very welcoming. I
Yeah.
lived in Portland from 1988 until 2019, and then I moved to Salem, and it was a lot of culture shock. It's not accepting in the same way. It's also not a foodie haven, so I was a little bit sad. And then COVID started, and I was really sad. And so I've discovered Silverton, and I'm so happy. There might not be a lot of food options, but the food options are all divine.
Really good.
Really
Yeah.
good. So a really inclusive place. There's a lot of activities to do. We're close to nature.
One of the best hospitals around too, really.
Really, I haven't even
Yeah.
had to need it, so I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I
But that's
hope you
good to
don't,
know.
but yeah.
I hope I don't either, but it's
Yeah.
really good to know.
Yeah, I live in Salem and I drove out here.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, Salem Hospital's not. Sorry, Salem Hospital.
No, they're medium. Yeah. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish you luck with it. I hope it goes really well.
Oh, it's been great so far.
Yeah, I bet it's a
we're
lot of
live
fun.
on Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll be on all of the platforms after it's done being recorded. So,
Excellent. Well, I'll go find you.
I have a card.
Oh, great. Let me just take a picture of it because I'm bad at
You got
I'm bad at paper.
I actually appreciate that.
Yeah, it's better. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And is that a papillon?
He is not. We got a DNA test. He has like 11 different things in him, and the predominant one is something called a Peruvian Incan orchid, and they don't even have hair. But he's got the ears of them. So
He's so adorable.
he is adorable. He
Yeah.
was so nice to you. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. He's
Thank
not
you
always
so much.
friendly. So, thank you again. I appreciate your time. Can you move that, or can I? Thank you. I don't want to mash into it. Have fun today.
Will do. Looks somewhat good, buddy. Saturdays. I know, but I feel guilty. So, buddy.
Yes, Billy McBride stands for him. Yes, he's Billy's husband. That's Bubba. This is and Dave. So this is your first interview, and then the mayor is heading your way.
Okay.
So just let them know if you need more time.
You got it. Sit right here. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Well, they want to watch it. That's fine. Hello. This is my very first podcast.
Oh, I love it. The thing is,
I have a request for another one, but this is the very first one.
I want to make sure that stays like 6 inches.
6 inches.
Yeah.
Well, you know, 6 inches can be exaggerated.
I love it.
Little marital humor. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Yay.
We're good. So please tell me. So how'd you end up at Silverton Pride of all places?
I was invited by MJ.
Yeah.
Apparently, she had stalked me online or something. I think it was mainly because of the work that I do.
Yeah.
I'm not just queen, that I actually do quite a bit of volunteerism for the trans community. And I think that's why she contacted me. I happen to be a very good entertainer, but my activism is my joy.
And I appreciate that so much, because that's the sort of activism that you need out there right now, with all of the things that are going on. And it's just to have a space where people can see themselves represented and know that they have a safe space that they can go along is huge.
My message is very, very simple.
Yeah.
I'm 62, almost 63 years of age, and I've lived a long, happy life as a trans woman. I transitioned over 40 years ago. So I became a housewife and a business owner and created a career and a life. Little did I know how useful that would become when legislation started coming down against trans people. Here I was all these years, a regular person, not anything that the conservatives say I am. And I stepped forward. I stepped out of my anonymity and said, here I am.
And I love that, right? Because I think it's so important to feel, because people need to understand that I'm kind of at a loss for words. I apologize. It doesn't happen in quite some time.
It's okay.
Because I'm fascinated by that aspect, right? Because what you said is actually very true. What you see as a portrayal in the media is not representative of people in general.
No,
and
it's not.
A shame that it's that way. It's one of the reasons I started this podcast, is because I got tired of the narrative that you see out there regarding people. Because people are not what you think or what you see on TV. It's not accurate.
It's true. Well, television is not reality,
right?
Even if they say it's reality TV. So in the real world, which is where I live, I have a wonderful existence. My husband and I built a business. I've achieved the American dream. We own our home. We retired to the coast. Life could not be better. And I want trans people to know that, mainly their parents.
Yeah.
And the kids too. You can have a long, successful, happy life. Don't be afraid. Don't listen to the naysayers. I'm living proof that you can do it. You can have your own version of it. Doesn't have to be mine.
Yeah.
But I'm here representing so that people can see that it's possible.
So how did you get into the competition part and begin with?
You mean the pageant?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was looking for opportunities for publicity because media pays attention to pretty women in crowns and sashes. I do not know why, but they do.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. But the thing is, I was literally in the midst of discovering the punitive legislation in the media when I saw this little girl in Conway, Arkansas, 8 years old, Little Miss World Infinity or something, some crazy name. And she had a little plastic tear on her head, and there was a news reporter with a microphone sitting in her living room, hanging on her every word. Oh, I'm just so excited. And yes, she had every right to be. But the thing is, I thought maybe if I go online, there'll be something like that, because I still look pretty good.
Yeah.
I can still twirl. I can wear a gown and I can interview. So why not try. And I found Trans USA Pageantry, which has only been around for about 5 years. And I applied and they accepted me, and I became Miss Trans Oregon last year, which was an invitation to volunteerism. And I traveled the state. Most poignant thing were mothers of trans kids coming up and hugging me, crying, thanking me for making their path of their child easier.
Because it's so important for people who are trans to see people who are successful.
Oh, we hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the things that I'll never understand about our society is why we can't be accepting of people as their authentic selves.
That's the thing that was so impactful when I testified in Arkansas before the legislature. It was standing room only. The community knew me as just me because I had built a life, built a business. I was on television. I taught generations of children how to skate. There were people in that room who I could name, who knew me, but did not know all about me. And I came out to the entire state of Arkansas. I came out to the entire figure skating community. And I came out to everyone I knew in one day, trying to garner the ear of the governor during the legislative session. And I got it. And he vetoed the legislation. But I found, doggone it, the dastardly doings of the Republican Party. They let Asa Hutchinson veto the bill so that he would save face. But the Senate overrode within closed session within 24 hours, and the fix was in. So it came to Judge Moody at the Third Circuit. And Leslie Rutledge, Attorney General of the state of Arkansas, brought junk science and cautionary tales to the judge's bench, and he threw her out. Said, "You come back prepared, or I will dismiss you on the day." So it took months. I think about 8 months.
Yeah.
I would like to give advice to your listeners. Do not mess with a hairdresser. They know everybody. And if they don't know someone, they know someone who does.
Yeah.
Turns out we had a client who was the retired executive assistant of Judge Moody of the Third Circuit. I had my finger on the pulse of the whole thing the whole time. And when he brought the decision forward, unconstitutional, prejudicial, separating out a class, and he dismissed with prejudice, which means the state of Arkansas can no longer challenge health care for trans youth as long as Arkansas exists. And we did it with a full ride Republican House and Senate, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders sitting in the governor's chair.
And
I'm very proud of that.
100%. And I just like the piece where I shake my head is how it got to that point in the first place.
Yes, but I saw it happen.
Yeah.
They brought one from California, this man who regretted transitioning, and they paraded him up in front of the panel. They gave 45 minutes to the presentation, and they gave 3 minutes to each person who spoke against it.
Oh, of course they did.
And when I testified against the North Carolina bathroom bill, taking dignity away from people using a public restroom, of all things, they flipped the script. I was actually the third person to sign in that morning. They ran the sheets backwards, and they ran the first sheet backwards, so that the very first person that signed in at 7 in the morning when the doors opened did not testify until 10 minutes to 5 in the afternoon.
Of course.
And you want to know why?
So that they left.
Yes, the media was there in the morning.
Yeah.
They stayed until noon, and then they had production deadlines. They left for the evening news. So they took the script and they flipped it because they knew the people that were there in the morning were the most prepared, had the most skin in the game, and had a reason to show up early. They knew they did not want those people featured in the media.
Right. And they knew that because the media was going to take off, that the media had to use all of the pro conversation because anybody that was against legislation didn't have the opportunity to be
That's
even
right.
part or even on camera.
And they don't even have to allow you to speak. I was actually ejected in the morning for asking a question. There was a pause in the
What question?
Here you go. They had gone to the fourth person to testify. I had signed in third. There was a pause in the proceedings. We were in the gallery. I raised my hand, remained silent. The chair recognized me. Yes, you have a question. Yes, ma'am. I've been here since 7 this morning. I was third to sign in, and the fourth person just testified. It appears that the sheets have been mixed up. Eject this person immediately. She pointed her finger at me, pointed to the bailiff, and I was escorted out for asking a question I was called on to ask because it exposed their dirty doings. And little did I know, I had to finagle to get back in that room, literally right out of a John Grisham movie. I had to wait until the break, get someone seated at the table, stop them in the hall, get their support, and get them to get the chair to let me back in. I was there all day, and I testified at 4:40 in the afternoon.
And how is that public discourse?
It's not.
Like,
it's
that's such a blatant version of what do you want to? What's the term I'm thinking of?
Mhm.
Of silencing somebody.
Yes, you can. There's no burden of proof when you testify before legislature. You can literally sign in as Donald Duck, and they will call Donald Duck to testify. So you don't have to be a resident of that state. You don't have to have anything at all. You can just show up and sign in, and they have the discretion to let you speak or not.
So anybody that has this misconception that government is there for free speech and for letting everybody have access to communicating, that's
No.
just not even true.
It's not true. And you have to be polite. I saw person after person ejected for calling legislators names, getting too emotional, yelling, that sort of thing. It never works. You have to be professional, and you have to quell your anger when you speak.
But how do you be professional when the legislation itself is challenging your existence as
yes.
a human being?
I know, but that's
my
the
God.
game. That's Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
That's what you have to
How
follow.
freaking frustrating is that?
It is. It really is. But there's power in it too, because I sat there and it took me a moment to get settled. I took a lot of time on purpose, but it was mainly so I could. And then I faced all of them. And when I gained my strength and my fortitude, and I'd said a couple of things that they let slide by, then I knew I could go further. Because one of the things I mentioned was that you need to understand that if you transition fully in the United States of America, you have to pass a barrage of psychological batteries. You have to be certified sane to proceed. And I said, therefore, I am telling you, I am sane, but I am not so sure about the rest of you.
So I want to pause for a second there,
Yeah.
because what you just said was it made me pause.
Yeah.
You have to go through a barrage of tests to prove that you're sane.
Yes.
Before you can get a medical procedure.
Yes.
And what other freaking medical procedure is that even a thing? I would say probably none, right?
Probably none. But you can't even have a blood test to test your own genetics without having counseling beforehand, even though it's you and you want to know. I just recently experienced that.
How is it that medical systems can tell you what to do with your own body?
Well,
Like,
and
that
that's why we're
perplexes me.
all talking about it in the
Yeah.
country right now.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, body autonomy has always been very important to me. And it's important, I think, to a lot of trans people, because the keys for you to be the person you need to be lie in the medical field.
Yeah.
And they have to remain available. I went through transition during the gatekeeper mentality, when services were only offered through teaching universities. And so you had to jump the hurdles, put the round holes and the round pegs and all of that. You took all the tests. I sat in front of rooms full of interns in white coats and answered questions. I was degraded during physical examinations. And when my surgery was done, it was done in an operating theater that was standing room only at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences in 1985.
How wild is that? Just
Yeah.
the idea that you have to go through that much just to be yourself.
Yes, but the tools are there.
Yeah.
And if you pick them up to use them, you better be certain.
Yeah.
And I have had no regrets. I've had a lovely, successful life. You can imagine this personality, me just sitting here, coming out of a male form.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And society
Just doesn't fit.
Society responded to me that way. Oh, you're weird. There's something off about you. I transitioned and the world embraced me. And that's no exaggeration.
Because you were able to finally be your authentic self the
Yes.
way you wanted to be.
The spirit matches the container. The soul is in its package that it needs to be. That's all it is for me. I didn't change as a person or as a personality. I didn't let the old person die so the new one could be born. That's not my approach. I've always been me.
Yeah.
I've had obstacles in my life and I took care of them.
Yeah. And I appreciate that so much. So, like, for my own journey, I didn't realize I was autistic until I was 37. And up until that point, I just thought I was a weird reject and I wasn't successful and I had so many roadblocks. And it wasn't until that moment where I realized I was autistic where my whole world changed.
Yeah.
Because I could actually be my authentic self.
When I
never had to go through the same variety of tests that you went through.
Yeah, it was a lot. You had to do sequential tests where they would just give you a set of picture frames and you would arrange them in a sequence that would make sense to you. Now, these tests are still done. You don't have to go through the clinical aspect. You can go to 2 different psychiatrists and they perform the tests for you. So there still is a gatekeeper. It's not surgery on demand or procedure on demand. The one thing that makes me the craziest is when people think that children go to grade school and have a sex change. It's unbelievable to me. You can't even get an aspirin unless they call home.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. And this preponderance of stupidity and the push in the internet of non-factual information is the hardest thing for me to deal with. It's just constant.
Because it's been taken up by mainstream media,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the narrative that you see.
I'm the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it always confused me about how that part of our society has been structured.
Yeah.
You know, because it takes so much more effort to be mean than it does to just be kind and accepting.
So much energy.
And it's just like, why can't you just accept people for who they are?
I'll tell you something. The thing is, I can go about my daily business, do whatever I need to do. I don't normally have this much makeup on because, I'm presenting and so forth. I just go about my day. I never, ever am confronted. And I'm very thankful for that. But in that, I have in the back of my mind, I know you would be treating me differently if you knew.
Yeah.
I know it just standing here, but you're treating me nice because you don't know. And that is the dichotomy of living every day as a trans person. I went for years never even thinking about it. But the minute you become an activist, it's a game of whack-a-mole. You stick your head up, hey, I'm here to help, whap, right over the head.
And
go back in your hole.
And I would imagine it comes from the most surprising places too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
As a trans person, you find that when you transition, you will have people that you would not think in a million years would support you, and they do. And then you think you have people you can count on, and they will drop you like a stone. It's happened in my life. I've heard it from other people. I'm very thankful for the parents that are here that support their kids. I didn't have that. I had alcoholic parents that fought like 2 cats in a bag who I didn't dare confide in.
Yeah.
I kept everything secret from everyone. And when I got out of the house, I decided to live my life.
And what would you say to parents out there that have kids that are going through this right now? Like, how do you, because I want parents to know how important it is just to show up and support their kids.
Yes, it's important to have a dialogue.
Yeah.
The very first thing, talk about it. You don't have to get your hair cut. You don't have to grow your hair out. You don't have to put on a dress or put on pants. Just start talking and get the information and support that you need from the community, because it's a lot of information and it happens all at once. A trans person transitions, but everyone in their life transitions with them, whether they want to or not.
I appreciate that. Because that's a perspective that I didn't really fully think about.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort, and it requires that because there will be heartbreaking circumstances that happen because I didn't start out looking like this. So, there's an awkward phase that you go through where people really can't identify you and they have trouble having just regular discourse with you. Um, I had to learn that that wasn't personal. That's them. That's not me. And that's the hardest thing to do. I've always told people society will tell you if you're passing
Yeah.
because the rude shocks end. And then one day you realize, oh, I'm not getting called out anymore. Something must have happened because you see yourself in the mirror every day. And transition can be very slow. And you don't see the metamorphosis that happens right in front of you. So I've seen a lot of people online take a picture every day, and then put it on a reel. And then you see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say the transition is kind of slow. Is it like
Yeah.
6 months, a couple of years?
It depends.
Okay.
A lot of people have different physical attributes to overcome. Some are never fixable, like
Yeah.
big hands, big feet, being really tall, that sort of thing. It doesn't change, but that doesn't mean you can't help yourself to look better and to transition and to function in society and not be bothered. I know some people will never have that. I know there are some people that are undetectable that would never, ever say a word to anyone, and that's okay. However you present or however you transition, it's literally up to you. And I don't ever encourage people to transition. It was right for me.
Yeah.
If it's right for you, you'll know.
And it's one of those things that you know internally.
You know internally before you begin.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately the point where a number of people end their lives. Because once realization hits, you are literally standing at the mountain you must climb. And you can't go around it, can't go through it.
There's no easy way.
There's no easy way. You have to go straight over it.
Yeah.
And most people decide no. Not most people, some people do. And it's very sad. Most people try, and they might get halfway up that mountain, but they may end up building their house halfway up that mountain. And that's fine for them. For me, I had to get over that mountain, and I did.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the people on the other side of the mountain will welcome you.
100%.
There's a metaphor for you.
Yeah. And do you think we'll ever get to the point where society in general is just accepting?
No, I really don't. I think we'll get to a place where there will be a general acceptance and an understanding in a way. I just know that there's so much vitriol online at this point. The internet is wonderful and the internet is horrible. And we're all dealing with the fact that it shines a very bright light into every corner of human existence. And there are a lot of people that don't want to see it and don't realize that this is humanity. And if you don't like humanity, what's wrong with you?
Right. Yeah, right. Right.
You want to be a squirrel? You want to be a ferret? You're a human. You got to be a human.
Yeah. And if we start from there, it becomes so much easier to accept people.
Yes. If you start from love and acceptance, then something might surprise you, or you might go, oh, well, that's not for me. But you don't have to hate the person for it.
No. No.
I don't get that.
It's so much work to hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much freaking work.
Yeah.
And it's like people dedicate their lives to that sort of hate and vitriol. And like, how bad is your life that you have to do that? What is your unmet need?
Joy has to be manufactured.
Yeah.
You're the only one who knows the joy that's right for you. Nobody can tell you, be happy, get happy. You've got to do that on your own. You have to find your strengths, find what you love, and hold on to it with both hands because you're going to need it in life. When I talk to kids, and I do this quite frequently, I go to schools. I went to Vancouver to Thomas Jefferson Middle School. I spoke to their rainbow group. They have lost 5 students to suicide this year.
Oh.
I was brought in to tell them that they could have a happy life. I spoke to most recently an after-school group for high-risk LGBTQIA youth called a KIN after-school program. I did not realize when I went, I spoke 3 days in a row. There were kids from foster care. There were kids that were homeschooled for their own safety. And they were all brilliant, lovely children who had to be protected. Yeah. And who had to know the information I had to share with them. And there were tears, there was hand holding, there were private sessions, there were joy and laughter, and there was realization that in middle school, of all times in your life, that there's someone out there that made it.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. I would have loved to have had that.
Yeah.
There was nothing in the landscape when I was a kid. Nothing at all. And this is why books in libraries are important. You know, reading a book isn't going to make you gay. It isn't going to make you trans. It is available for the trans kid or the gay kid who needs to have support.
100%.
That's all it is.
And it's also for allies.
Yes.
Right. And I bring that up because I just read a book recently that talked about the health disparities of people in the LGBTQ community.
Yes.
And I thought I knew. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like just how despicable medicine is if you're not from the gender normative community.
Right.
It's so wild.
Yep.
Like demanding pregnancy tests from lesbian couples. Like, you know, you need a pregnancy
How's
test
that going to happen?
Right? But they demand it before you can get a medical procedure. And I'm
Yeah.
like, on what planet is that okay?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So what would you like people, like, I wanted people to have this sort of podcast and this conversation today about why it's so important, whether you're an ally, a member of the community, to support Pride events like this.
Oh, well, where else can a group that is maligned by greater society convene if we do not organize? And the only way to create change is to organize. I tried, believe me, it was futile, but I tried privately to influence a veto from the governor without coming out. Impossible. It's impossible. You have to step forward and raise your hand and say, I'm here, because that's what laws are about. They're about governing people. And if the people aren't there to govern, they'll pass all sorts of preventative laws to prevent trans youth from being athletes and participating in sport. And that's another part of my story. I've been a lifelong figure skater. I am a trans athlete, and my federation supports me.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's all it takes. There's no one in the stands at a figure skating event yelling at me, I don't belong.
And that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And the other important thing that I want people to understand too is just how important it is to be accepting of people.
Yes.
As they walk through the door. Like I've already said it 4 times today, but like there's not even identical twins have the same story.
Acceptance is love for someone you haven't met.
Yeah.
And when you meet them, then it can become love.
Yeah.
And you can have friendship and have a relationship. But these events, even if it's casual, I know there are shy people here.
Yeah.
There are demonstrative people. And then I'm here in sash and crown. These events are wonderful because it allows small communities to have, even if it's just a picnic on an afternoon on a June day, it allows people in small communities to come together and see each other and go, oh, you work at the shop down the street. I didn't know you were a member of the community. And friendships blossom.
Yeah.
My very first Pride event that I did as Miss Trans Oregon was in Manzanita, little beach town. Very small event, one little tent, 30 people, little parade, 2 blocks up the street. The police escorted us and it was done. But it was fabulous because everybody hugged one another. It was all smiles. All the tourists that were there were clapping and waving. It was wonderful. So it doesn't have to be a big event. It can be a small one too.
And one of the things that I know is unequivocally true. I'll have to fix that later.
Oh, I got it.
one of the things that I find is unequivocally true
Go ahead.
is that if you come to a Pride event, or really any event that is thrown by a member of the LGBTQ community, it doesn't matter if you're a part of that community or not, you're going to be welcome and loved there.
Yeah, so you feel safe.
Every single place I've gone to. Yeah.
I tell people often that acceptance is like honey. It sticks to you.
Yeah.
And it's sweet. And I just, one of the things that I mentioned from the stage when I did my little talk this morning was that I'm available to all of you. Feel free to approach me. Just because I'm in sash and crown and look like I might be unapproachable, please come up to me. I'm here for all of you.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I wish we had more time.
That's all right. Thank you for your time.
Would you be welcome? If I can we get in touch, because I would love to have the ability to have a more in-depth conversation.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm
in my card.
And I think did I bring one? I don't think I did. But I'm at Billy McBride 86. I can write that down for you.
Perfect.
Or put it in your phone.
And I'll fix this microphone. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. The mayor is probably wondering why is she just doing. Come on in. Thank you.
Come on in. Thank you. All right. Come on in.
John Deschler, I'm going to talk to you after you talk to him. It's in a pod. That makes sense.
Come on in. Mm-hmm. How's it going?
It's going good. Let me just set all this down.
Oh, no worries. I'm going to try and keep it at 6 inches.
Oh.
If you can, so scoot the chair up if you could. Thanks.
I don't want to squish your foot.
Oh, you're good. All right. And your name?
I'm Jason Freilinger, Mayor of Silverton.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I love the fact that you have this here.
Oh yeah. Well, it's our first one, so it's very exciting.
It's so much like it's and thank you so much for this opportunity to have this space.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's one of those things where finding a safe space for members of the LGBTQ community can be difficult at times. And to see representation and to see people sort of openly express that ability about themselves is a game changer, especially for the youth.
Right.
Yeah. So what prompted the start of Silverton Pride?
Well, Silverton has always been more accepting and more open-minded for everyone. We've had progressive schools that have been here in the past, colleges that were here in Silverton's ancient past, and of course, we have the first openly transgender mayor in the United States, Stu Rasmussen, who was a friend of mine, and our community is, I know it's one of those small rural communities, but we are appreciative of everybody. I remember when there was some folks when Stu became mayor. There were some folks that came from out of state who were very opposed to this. And what was so wonderful about that moment is it was an affront to Silvertonians. There were conservative Silvertonians that came out and supported Stu and said, really let the word be known to these folks that they're not welcome in Silverton. And as far as that kind of hate, everybody's welcome in Silverton. I have to say, everyone is welcome. I want people to come, but we're here to appreciate each other, love each other, and welcome each other into the community. And it's Mayberry with a progressive side.
Yeah. And I appreciate that a lot about Silverton.
Yeah.
It's one of those cute little towns where you come and you know you're going to have a good time.
Right.
It still has that small town feel.
Oh yeah.
But it also has those the sort of bigger town amenities that sort of attach to it as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If I go into sales pitch, we have lots of really great restaurants. We have a really vibrant arts community. I know that's not why I'm here, is to do that, but it's a cool place. You know, we're getting ready for our Renaissance Fair coming up here in just a few weeks, and we appreciate everybody.
And I appreciate the fact that there is a commitment to it as well.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I talk ad nauseum about this podcast is about how important it is to support your local community.
Mm-hmm.
Because every dollar you invest locally stays local.
Right.
And the national chains, they don't necessarily need our dollars.
Absolutely. Right.
And so anything you can do to support people in your local community, please do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah. I used to be a small business owner downtown, and you know, a lot of things that have happened macroeconomic wise when it comes to the economy have really stifled a lot of small towns, right? And you got to be more creative. You got to be more open, and just in order to thrive. And and you need to, and I'm a big shop local person, but I have to admit, I sometimes go to the bad place at Amazon and get stuff, you know.
You and me both. It's inevitable. You know,
Yeah.
You kind of have to.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, it's important that when you can, you know, to be able to do that locally.
100%. Especially like artists and things like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And one of the things that I appreciate about Silverton too is the hospital.
Oh yeah, wonderful hospital.
My goodness,
an award-winning hospital for a small town. It's weird. We have almost as many births here in Silverton as they do in the capital in Salem, because so many people from Salem and Kaiser choose to come to Silverton to have their babies.
Oh, all of my in Silverton, even though I'm in Kaiser.
Right.
100%.
Yes.
The difference is, and I can put exactly a label in it, right? Because I'm autistic. And one of the things that I need as an accommodation is a follow-up.
Right.
In writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the healthcare system in Silverton that actually met my accommodation needs.
Right.
And that's huge.
Absolutely.
Because normally you're just used to being, don't do that thing here. And it's different.
Yep. Very appreciative of our medical community. So
how long have you been in Silverton?
My whole life. Let me clarify. I was born here and I've lived here almost my whole life. I went to school at Portland State.
Okay.
And so, in a little while after I graduated, I, had to find a job and whatnot until I could get settled down in Silverton. So, but other than about 5 years, I've spent my whole life in Silverton.
And how much has it changed since you've been here?
Well, I mean, there has been growth. Yeah. When I started, when I was young, aware enough of the world to realize what the population was, it was 3,000. And I think that was around when I was 10 years old, 10 years old. Yeah. And so it's about 45 years later, and we're a little over 10,000 now. And so 3 to 10,000 in 45 years, given the way Oregon's growth goes, we're actually growing at half the rate of the rest of the state.
Interesting.
But for people here, it's like, oh my gosh, we're growing so much. But, our Main Street looks the same as it did, 45 years ago. That some of that's going to change a little bit because I've pushed forward to do some updates because we have some infrastructure, roads, pipes, all that have to be fixed. That's just a necessity. But we're very focused on keeping that charm that is Silverton from the early 1900s, which is really what we focus on, is having that feel from the early 1900s.
And you can feel that when you're downtown. You really can. It has that sort of ambiance. It's almost
Absolutely.
Like you're walking back in that sort of time frame.
Right.
And I love it. I love the dog too. That's
Yeah, it's a wonderful. it's amazing, the Bobby story, and I shouldn't say this. I'm a mayor of the town that Bobby came from, but it's still hard to believe. But I think that there's evidence that it actually is true that a dog got shipped all the way to Missouri and found its way home all the way back to Oregon. Yeah. So it's an amazing thing.
And The part I love about the statue is it gets my dog every time.
Yeah,
Every
absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
It's like, what is that dog doing? It's not real, dude. But anyway.
Yeah.
So let me tell you. So one of the things also that I talk about sort of on my podcast a lot is just how important it is for acceptance and kindness and awareness. Because I think one of the things we've lost along the way is that connection to people as a community. And one of the things I appreciate about the Salem Kaiser sort of Silverton area is that it still has that sort of community feel. Like I lived in Seattle for 40 years of my life, and like there was a period of 10 years where I didn't know a neighbor,
right?
Not a single neighbor. And to come here and to be welcomed and to be accepted, it's a different kind of atmosphere, and I love it down here.
Yeah. I philosophically speaking, for me, and maybe this is because I grew up here, but for me, small town means hospitality. It means welcoming. It means accepting, and it is mind-bogglingly baffling to me when I see there are other small towns that seem to feel that small town means exclude people that are different from you. And I for me myself cannot understand how you can possibly they're completely opposite.
Yeah.
The idea of being hometown, small town, respecting the ways of the past, but being rude and inhospitable to those is good. That's when you talk about gay pride and the LGBT community and equality and acceptance and equity, we're really just talking about, I hate to make it really simple, but being neighborly.
Yeah. No,
being
it is that simple though.
being what you learned in kindergarten, as far as, accepting the other kids in your class, right? And and as far as I'm concerned, I'm also a Christian, and for me, it is the teachings of Jesus Christ, and it's just mind-boggling to me to have, because I'm very much aware of this because mayors in this state talk.
Yeah.
And I know that there are mayors that have drastically different views, especially small town mayors, than I do. I really appreciate all of my community, and I appreciate all of our visitors. I appreciate people. And if you're going to be love thy neighbor, you have to love your neighbors, right? So I don't know. I feel like I'm getting on a soapbox. Sorry.
No, but that's okay. Like this podcast has been founded on soapboxes, so you're good there. But it's a really important message, though, right? Because like there is a huge difference between people who walk in faith, who actually believe and really support the teachings of Jesus,
right,
versus those people that aren't. And really, it's about starting with love,
right,
and loving
absolutely
people just because they're people.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we are people first.
Yeah.
And what separates us is really not that much.
Yeah.
Really not that much.
Really? Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes so much more work to be mean.
Well,
it takes so much more work.
Yeah, well, it's almost like you have to create reasons to be mean. It's like, I haven't found anybody to be mean to today, so let's pull a reason out of the hat and let's make it that one. Because if you look at these last few years, it's been like somebody who is in a position of power has like run out of things to be mean to, so then he picks new stuff, and then it says, "Oh, I need more people to be mean to, so because I need to get people excited and energized, so I'm going to find somebody else to be mean to," and it's disheartening. That's not America.
No,
it's un-American.
I completely agree. And too many, like, if you have a conversation with anybody and have actually a real conversation, not the sound bites you see on TV,
right,
not the 4 minutes that you have to actually have a conversation, you really, I've learned this so much through my podcasts. I've been doing it a year now, and I have 1 hour or 2 hour conversations with folks. Everybody just wants to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be succeeding. Everybody wants a fair shot.
Absolutely.
And if you start there, it should be easy to accept.
Exactly.
Because we're all just trying to be the best versions of ourselves. Well, some of us are trying to be the best versions of ourselves. And I think if you have that approach where you're kind and you're trying to be the best version of yourself, it's almost impossible to be mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Although I can be gruff with people that are mean to other people.
And that's different, right? I really do believe that's different because that's like standing up and pushing back.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
And we
Which
have to
is
do that.
different.
Yeah. We absolutely
Yeah.
have to do that as a community.
Yeah, because more often than not, the person who is subject to that, whatever ism that you throw out there, doesn't have the ability to stand up for themselves in the moment.
Right.
And it takes an ally, it takes a friend, it takes somebody sort of separated from the situation to come in and sort of say something.
Right.
Because when you're the victim of the attack or you're the victim of somebody's mistreatment, it's almost impossible to stand up for yourself.
Well, and you know that's not surprising because people who victimize others through hate, they do that in a targeted way. They do it in a way that they know that they have the power, right? And the way you turn that power around is your voices that are not being targeted that stick up for the targeted person, because the bullies and the hate folks, they don't pick on people unless they feel like they can dominate them and in a most undesirable way.
100%.
And that's why we have those of us that are straight, out of those of us that are white, we need to stand up and say, no, this is not acceptable. You know, you're not going to pick on that person just because they're different than us. And so.
And I'm also hopeful in the same regard because I see in the younger generations that they're not willing to accept that. And I see the younger generations being more willing to stand up for their peers.
Oh, I thought you were saying the opposite for a second. And I was like, that's not what I see. But you're right. I love that about the younger generation, that they are more willing to stick up for their peers.
Yeah.
And
be accepting. And
absolutely.
And it's inspiring to see.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was that young, like I already said this today, but I remember distinctively when I was in high school, we had somebody write a letter to the paper about their experience as a gay man.
Oh, okay.
And they found out who it was, and he had to transfer schools because he couldn't be that way anymore. And the idea that today with youth that may not happen gives me hope.
Yeah, most definitely. But I also feel, and I definitely feel that the younger generations are more that way. But as a mayor who deals with the entirety of the community, I know that there are also younger folks that are not necessarily in that mindset. And even though they are now a minority in that age group, I'm very concerned about where they're getting these messages and the ramifications to our society in a long term of that still being allowed to be encouraged by some. It's disappointing, and that's why strong voices have to come out. We have to be more vocal.
100%. Like, because I'll never forget. Like, I'm not going to name the town, but I was a part of a pride event in a local town in Oregon where the elected sheriff escorted the protesters through Pride. And what message that sends to the kids of the people in uniform saying, here's the protesters, and here I support them.
Right.
Like, that's just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree. And like I said, I interact with all the mayors across Oregon in some form or another, and I know that a lot of communities our size have had an opposite reaction from the electeds. I think I appreciate the appreciation that I get when folks that have done these events in other communities know that I'm here to stand with PFLAG and the Pride community.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Just to have those allies that stand up and say that I'm here to support you means so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm autistic, right? And I didn't know I was autistic until later in life. And I just thought I was weird and different and didn't belong on this planet. And it wasn't until I figured out I was autistic and I went down that path. It was the people that supported people with autism that sort of got me through. Of course, I found my community, and that was really important too.
Right.
But it takes a village sometimes to make progress.
Right.
And so anything we can do as a community to work together to advance like just the decency towards people, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
This is not that difficult. Having a pride event like this is not that difficult. But
Well,
the world.
No, I got to say that there's some the people that no, from my perspective, it was easy.
Yeah, that's great.
I just had to say yes, and we have an amazing police chief that was willing to work with this, and an amazing city council, and we're all very embracing of this. But I want to make sure that it's known that there are some people that put in a lot of work to make this happen.
100%.
The people that put on the event have put in an immense amount of work. So, so the event itself was, so it's easy from where I'm sitting. It's not so easy for them.
And I guess I should clarify. It's easy to come and participate.
Right.
And it's easy to just green light and say, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is easy.
Because you're right. Live events like this, just all of the moving pieces, it's so much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate all the work that they've put into it, because I haven't helped with the behind the scenes stuff, but I've been in regular contact with them and all the logistics that they have had to figure out. So kudos to them.
I was so honored that they invited me to do this podcast here.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do a live podcast, and I figured the best place to start would be here at Pride.
Oh.
And
great.
It's been an experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying the experience here in Silverton. This is awesome. Yeah.
They're always my favorite. Yeah. One of the things that is not lost on me is every time you go to a Pride event, you're going to be welcome and loved.
Right. That's
it's
true.
all about welcome and love.
That's true.
And that's the only feeling I get from a Pride event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's some very amazingly friendly, welcoming people here, and so it's been very nice. It's been.
And I always have this perspective of once you've been othered in your life, you have a sense of humility and a sense of like kindness.
Right.
Because once you've experienced that, you don't want anyone else to experience that.
Right. Right.
And it's huge.
Yeah, I've seen too many othered people that have been negatively impacted, whether they're in my family or my friends. And my only othered category is I'm a nerd. So, so back in my day, that was a negative. So nerds are cool now. So
I know, right?
I've gone from the I went from the
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see people experience in Pride?
Well, I want people to feel welcome. I want we have, and I don't know other towns. I don't know how big the LGBT community is in other communities, but we have a large community here, and I think I want them to all feel a part of this community, right? And I also want people from outside of the community that might not have that sort of welcome in their own communities. I'm not going to name anybody, but that hey, Silverton is welcoming for you, right? And I don't mind being that small town that's different than the others, and it wants them there. I want everybody to feel welcome here, and yeah, that's my objective is people to get the feel and the welcome and the sense of community and acceptance that they can get at this Pride event.
And I really appreciate that focus, and you can tell that is the focus of the city of Silverton.
Yeah.
You can really.
Well, thank you.
I really mean that, right? Because like every time I come here, like this place is just really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you haven't had a chance to go downtown, you need to check out downtown.
Yeah. Check out our murals.
Yeah.
They're pretty amazing.
They're pretty freaking out there in a good way.
In a good way, yeah,
uh-huh.
absolutely.
Like, I can host a podcast. I can't draw for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thank
And
you.
Thank you for such a wonderful event in Silverton.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so inspiring to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I look forward to coming back next year.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to me. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you so much, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. All right. Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Tell me about it.
Brother, I need to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
John Bishop.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, so many people these days. Guys are-
Because then it's on to the next thing.
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah.
What is it y'all do? Oh, you're with the podcast. Okay, well, I'm just saying. I said live. I did not know that was Facebook Live. How do you even coffee? I'll reach out. I did. I've never done it. I've been contacted.
Yeah. Contact me definitely. And I think that's a conversation that needs to take 10 minutes.
I know it does, but how?
No, I mean, like, my podcast is usually an hour long, and let's have a
We can do that too, but I want to talk to them before.
Got it.
What else do you do?
I work for the state. I work for DHS. So we're hired to be managers. That's really class. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
That's the website of the dealer, and that ultimately gets me. I mean, I drop on the phone. But I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. On this, I love you.
Thank you.
Thought out studio, 10 studio, and the fact that you're here.
Yeah, I got tired of all of the crap and negativity that you see on TV, so I started a podcast that was talking to real people about this stuff. No, I have a studio in Kaiser at the rec center, the bowling alley, and then I have a studio in Portland. I record on Fridays and Mondays. Yeah. And then for the fourth Friday of every month, starting in August, I'll be recording in McMinnville and simulcast to public access TV. So, let's have some coffee. Yeah. Got it. What's up? Oh, we are going to sit down and have an actual podcast. Yeah. I told her, like, we can't. Like, this is just. Yeah. We're going to do that again. We're going to sit down and actually have a conversation. 15 minutes is not enough. There's a couple of them in there too. Nope. How's it going? Is it a podcast? Remind me your name again? Mary. Problem when you interview like 40 people in a day.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
That's good. Now, is this video too?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube and we're live on Facebook Live.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I just want to make sure you talk into the mic.
Okay.
And I'm here with Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Tell me about Stu.
Well, I don't know if I'm exactly the person who should tell you about Stu.
That's fair.
I wasn't able to meet him exactly,
Oh.
but he is the reason I moved to Silverton. I was looking to move a little rurally, and I knew that rural towns in Oregon might not be as inviting as some rural towns. And I remembered the radio story about Stu. And Stu Rasmussen was lifelong resident of Silverton. And he was mayor, I think at least 4 terms, city council, started all kinds of businesses. And he loved this place. And what made Stu outstanding from my standpoint was that he was elected in 2008 by the town to be mayor after he had transitioned. And so he exemplifies for me that this town is a place where everybody belongs.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm working with Stu's widow, Victoria, and a number of other people to raise money right now to build a life-size bronze statue of Stu that will be near the city hall here. And so we've just started, and this is our launch here at Pride in Silverton. And so we'll be all over social media. I hope you'll be able to find us at some point. We're not quite there yet. And it's silvertonforstu.org.
With the number 4.
Nope, it's all
For
spelled
FOR.
out.
Okay.
It's all spelled out. We're not up yet, but we will be. And we'll probably connect with, is your name's
Sean.
Sean?
Yeah.
We'll connect with Sean with his social media too.
Yeah.
So all of your listeners will be able to find us.
And I can't express how much gratitude that I have at this project, because I don't know if you know, but Oregon is notorious for having a lot of statues of colonizers.
Ah,
It's everywhere.
yes.
And so to have a statue of somebody like Stu represented in a town like Silverton is so beautiful,
Yes.
because it's one of those voices that isn't normally heard.
Yes.
And to have something to symbolize something so monumental as Stu
Yes.
is just wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so important for people to see a representation of themselves.
Absolutely. And if not themselves, just everybody's accepted.
Yeah.
Everybody belongs. It's a safe place for everybody.
Because that's huge.
It is.
Especially in this day and age.
Yes.
Because every day you walk out in this world, you have a risk of running into somebody that's not nice or kind.
Yes.
And so anything we can do to say, hey, people that are nice and kind and want to do things for the community without expecting anything in return.
Yes.
That's the people we need to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
give a voice to.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So how did you get started with this organization? Is it just stumbled across it, or?
I kind of started the organization. I moved to the town in the fall of 2021, sorry. And that was right about the time I learned since that Stu was dying. And so I never got to meet him. And I realized that I needed to meet people. And so I like public art. So I joined the Mural Society, and I did a project with them, and I realized that maybe they weren't so interested in doing a mural yet for Stu. And so I started reaching out to a few people, and finally introduced myself to Victoria, Stu's widow. And she said she didn't think she wanted to do a mural. She wanted to do a statue.
Yeah.
So we gathered a few more people together, and we became a nonprofit. And here we are starting. We found a sculptor. And so we're just now really launching this fundraising program. And we actually have an anonymous donor who's donated $30,000 to match. So any money that we raise now is doubled.
That's beautiful.
So yes,
and
because
what's the goal?
The goal's about 150,000.
Okay.
Life-size bronze by a really fine artist, and yeah, and we have to leave some money for the city to maintain the statue. So it's because we want it here forever. We want it here forever, and we're hoping that people will come from all over the world to Little Silverton, not just for the falls, but also to see the town that voted for Stu.
And it's such a beautiful town too.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like you still have that small town charm.
Oh yeah.
But you still have some of those big town amenities.
Yeah. At
the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I walk through this town, still I've been here three and a half, 4 years, and it's like I pinch myself. I can't believe I'm actually able to live here. It's it is a very sweet town, and this Pride event is wonderful. I think it's bodes well for our project.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about Pride events, and I've said this ad nauseum today, so I'm pretty sure people listening are probably tired of me saying it, but it bears repeating. I've never been to a Pride event where I don't feel welcome and loved.
Yeah.
It's just all about love and connectivity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I stress is always this importance of like supporting local.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate this idea of creating a statue for somebody that is not that heteronormative power control person.
And he could have lived anywhere.
Yeah.
But this was home.
Yeah.
And this was where he created the whoa. Are we blowing over here? Are we okay? Not
We're
yet.
good.
Are we okay? Okay. When small back in the 80s, early 90s, he created idea of the tour through the town, through Woodburn, through the town, through Salem, out to Silver Falls, because he wanted people to know that Silverton was here, and he wanted them to be tourists and drive through, and everybody wave. And that was one of his one of the ways that he rebuilt the town and kept it alive when other towns were dying. So he was brilliant and so welcoming.
And the part about this community too that I like so much is just how welcoming of everybody that is. Because normally when you go to small towns, you can feel the people who are exclusionary.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that as much here in Silverton.
No.
It's really a breath of fresh air.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And was it other than that? What prompted you to come to sort of Silverton? Were you from Oregon already, or?
I'd been in Oregon for about 12 years or so.
Mhm.
And the last place I was living was in Milwaukee up towards Portland. And that's a very sweet town too. But I realized every time I drove a little bit further out into the country, I just breathed differently.
Yeah, yeah.
And so and this town had everything. It's got a wonderful library. We've got a bookstore. We've got art. We've got a hospital. A lot of small towns don't have that, and lots of good restaurants, and just a really good feel.
And I don't smell diesel here.
No, no.
Yeah, so somebody who's autistic smells or something that it's always a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, even though I live in Kaiser, you can smell the diesel from the freeway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're far enough off the freeway, and I live kind of on the edge of town, but in town, and we don't have the highway noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no trains.
Yeah. Well, there is a train, but it comes through rarely.
Yeah.
But we still have the signs, and you have to be careful still. But yeah. So thank you for interviewing me.
Of course.
And I'll share our contact info with
Please,
you later.
because we're invested, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people would like to support that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing that. That's so awesome. That's a way to give me exit stage left.
Come on, son.
Hi, Bailey. Nice to meet you, Bailey. Come on in.
Have a seat. Thank you very much. I'm here with Bailey. We're live at Silverton Pride. What brings you to Pride today?
I'm a lifelong Silvertonian, and I've always been really proud of a community that has been really accepting of our LGBT community. And so events like this are just really important for myself and my young family to come and support.
And I appreciate that so much because, like, one of the things that was said to me when I said I was going to do a podcast here was let them have their day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. Allies need to be here too.
Absolutely.
It's so important for people to be representative and to show support.
Yeah.
Like, why is that so important to you as somebody from this community?
In a very, I think, divisive and volatile time for, everyone, but especially our LGBTQ families, it's just so important to come out here and to show people that, like, you are not alone. You are important. You're important to this community. And I have, a different background than so many of the people who are, visiting here today and maybe have a lot of different life experiences, but I love the experience that they bring into this event. And it's just important. I think, if I have a young child here for, him to see that, people are so different and wonderful, and it's good for us to love and accept people regardless of what maybe other people tell us.
And it surprises to me because it's so much easier to be accepting and welcoming than it is to be mean.
Oh, totally.
And so, one of the things that I appreciate about Pride, especially in a town like this, is just how accepting the community is.
Yeah.
And I think that's unique to Silverton.
Yeah, I'd agree. I talk about that with my partner quite a bit, who also comes from a different small town that maybe doesn't have quite the same level of acceptance of people with, a lot more um, just like diversity within the community. And we've talked about like that's an amazing thing that you find in Silverton that really you don't find in a town this small, or maybe with like a more aged population than a lot of communities.
And do you find that it's more like, because I've been talking about this a lot today, like the younger generation seems to be way more accepting, and it's kind of inspiring.
Yeah, it is very inspiring. Is a great word for it, and I kind of love the younger generation, just like not even having to like center necessarily like trauma in like our conversations about learning about the LGBT community, but just like growing up with like those are our best friends, those are our cousins, those are our family, those are our neighbors, and it just being like these people exist, and we love them, and it's a very cool thing for us, a younger generation, to kind of get to center that at a much younger age.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're people first.
Right.
Everybody is people.
Right.
And whatever flavor of person you are, you should be able to be that flavor of person.
Totally.
And I
unapologetically.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, like, one of the things that I appreciate about the Pride event in particular, and I've said this again like 15 times today, I've never been to a Pride event where I didn't feel welcome and loved.
Totally. Yeah.
Ever.
I agree.
Yeah. And so, what have the vendors and all the booths been like?
I actually just got here, but everyone's been really lovely and just really, welcoming. But people are like passing out water, asking like, "Do you need anything?" And I always love these events because it's really like resource and support first, which I always appreciate. I work in a public health, social services background, and I really like that about communities when they, there's some wonderful vendors here who are selling some amazing things, but there are also people who are just like checking in with people and also saying like, "Here's what our community has to offer you. Let us know what you need."
And because it's so important for people to know that there is a safe space in the community, because being and knowing that there's a place to go for support.
Totally.
Because if you're in isolation, things go wrong.
Absolutely.
And anything we can do to stop people from being in isolation, I'm all about it.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
So what else are you expecting or excited to see while you're here?
I mean, the vendors I think are always great. I love the music. That's I think probably what we look forward to most is we always do a walkthrough.
I appreciate
it's fun.
So much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
coming.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me chat a bit.
You got it.
Thanks.
Sorry, buddy. There we go.
They were here. They were first. I'm like, okay, no, it's cool. Thank you. Thank you for saying that's fine. Yeah, great. Great. Let's start right now. We started this with cover parents. And at the time, it's like person Gracie's person. She got it backwards and she was going to give me no name. And Gracie was going to take my name and name and like was her name. And I was like, no. I'm the one that's going to take my name and name her name. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She's very gracious and so much. And then she was like, hey, now we're talking about taking which one of the box in the room, right? Or smells. And I was like, okay, which one do you want me to pick? She was like, room. And it was she goes, because I can't put right because you're right. And it was like, right. She was like, no, I want to be the room. And I was like, that is precious. Like, no. So that's super cute. She was getting more comfortable with, you don't necessarily think she's in a transition, but I think she is like, at that point, she's all of that. You have a conversation about it. I think she said freeze, like if ice falls.